That's right, I'm American. Got a picture of Reagan above my fire, next to the deer I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support him. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
So we had another night of rioting in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today, though, there's actually some breaking news on this. So are the rioters right or wrong? Is this another Ferguson, Missouri, where the narrative is a lie? Let's find out. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. As always, pretty much everything that I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. And phone number to get involved, easy to do, 844-700-BOLD or 2653. So I was watching a press conference this morning, and it was the, I don't think this really matters, but I'll bring it up because everybody else keeps bringing it up to me. It was the sheriff of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's a black man, if that matters anything to you. I guess maybe it does to Black Lives Matter or something like that. But anyway, he decided to hold a press conference and tell everybody where they were at in the investigation. To me, the most important little piece of news that he had, well, big piece of news, is they have dash cam video and body cam video of the shooting that has caused the rioting and protests that are going on right now. So, with that kind of a video, my question was, and I bet your question is as well, then why don't you just release it? Let everybody see it. What are you waiting for? Now, this is where I disagree with him on. Because the sheriff and the investigators and, of course, lawyers are involved, want all their ducks in a row. They want everything laid out, all of their ducks in a row right now before... Well, as soon as they can, before they release the video. And it's not just dash cam, it's body cam video. So, the longer they wait, the longer it takes them to clean up the mess, to clean up the broken glass. By the way, I do have video. If you want to go to my website at boldrepublic.com or my Facebook page, I do have video of police officers after a night of rioting. They're actually helping local residents and businesses with some of the cleanup. They're out there. Well, the rioters and looters are smashing things. The police officers the next morning are helping with the cleanup. All right, so why wait if you've got body cam video and dash cam video? So what the police chief said was that they like to complete their investigation, have everything together, and let the family of the gentleman who was shot demanded to see the video first as part of the investigation. They said yes. Okay, and I understand if they don't want to, you can misinterpret bits and pieces of video. But still, the sooner they get this sucker out there, the better. Now, there was some news I was watching from an organization called One American News. They had a reporter on the street, and he was standing right in the middle of the rioting, talking to one gentleman. Well, I guess you can call him a gentleman because he said, well, breaking windows. He tried to excuse it. What else are we supposed to do to let you know that we're out here? Now, there are peaceful protesters. There were protesters who showed up. They protested. Then they went to a church for an evening vigil. The rest of them, though, apparently breaking glass, looting. Oh, it was worse than that. Hang on. See, I don't care what the problem is. There's no excuse for this. Here's some of the videos that are out there. Charlotte rioters gang up on man with hands up and drag him and pummel him. He was pleading, and they just beat the crap out of him. Well, because he's a white guy. Black Lives Matter protests in Stockton attacks white bystanders. That's another video and story. I'm just one headline after the next. Charlotte mom beats up man pleading for mercy. Wow. This is just one night in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, how is this supposed to bring this country together and end the violence? I'd like to know. Well, stealing televisions and anything else they can carry out of there. I don't understand how that is supposed to solve the problem, but okay. Let's get back to the dash cam video and the body cam videos. Because with the dash cam and the body cam videos comes the evidence of what really happened. Now, the police are still maintaining this guy had a gun. They asked him to put down the gun. He didn't. That's when they opened fire. One woman who speaks for the NAACP turned and said, it doesn't matter if he had a gun or not. Well, and her answer was they should have found a way to talk him down. Well, that would depend. What do we see on the video? See, my problem is people making assumptions one way or the other before they've seen all of the evidence. And that's part of what, for some people, I'd honestly say some people who are rioting right now in Charlotte or will be again, they're sleeping it off right now. They'll be doing it again tonight, maybe. Some are out there because they're opportunists. This is a chance just to go wild and break things and steal things. There are a few people out there who are actually out there for what they see as the right reason. But once again, people are reacting without seeing all of the evidence. Now, to let you know, I don't necessarily always trust the police either. With all due respect to the good cops that are out there, I don't always trust the police either. There are times, it depends on which precinct you're talking about across the country, there are times, we've all seen it, that the police lie, that they try to cover up for somebody. It happens. You know it happens. You and I have seen it. The police chief seems like a good and decent man, but I've never met him. I don't know Charlotte's politics, so I have no idea. We know Black Lives Matters. We know that the lies they tell. We understand that they are liars. That truth and justice doesn't really mean anything. In fact, I came across, this is an interesting meme that somebody posted, and I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna save this one and use it now and then. It's a picture of downtown Chicago. It looks like a 6-lane boulevard going right through downtown Chicago. The boulevard is completely empty. It reads, here's a photo of protests in Chicago where 3,131 people have been shot in 2016. Now, those 3,131 people that they're speaking of were not shot by police officers. That was thugs shooting other thugs. In some cases, it was little kids that were just caught in the crossfire in Chicago. Where's Black Lives Matter on that? Now, when the shooting, if they really cared, if Black Lives Matter really did have people's best interest in mind, if they really wanted to solve this problem, and I don't think they do, I'll tell you what I'm guessing that Black Lives Matter is really up to. Hold that thought. See, if they really wanted to solve the problem and they were interested in justice, like they say, they would have immediately met with the police and said, so you have body cam video? You have dash cam video? Well, you better cough it up. You better show it to us, and I mean now. And that would have been released already instead of what's happening now. Here's what I think Black Lives Matter really wants. They've already made a list of demands. I mean, it's a long list of demands, including reparations, which is money, free housing, which is more money, more welfare programs, which is more money. Seems to me like this is what they're really after, as if that's going to solve the problem. And yet they're not really out to solve the problem. You want to solve the murder rate? There's a way to do it, but you're going to have to start dealing with these punk thugs that are currently ripping apart the city, currently ripping apart Charlotte. When they're not rioting in downtown and breaking windows and stealing televisions, they're ripping into each other. The whole community has been torn apart. It's decades of this community been torn apart, and now they're tearing apart downtown. They've found an excuse to raid and loot and beat people up. And yet they're really not looking for a solution to any real problem, are they? Okay. Now, like I said, I don't necessarily trust the police, yes or no, in this. I'm waiting for a release of the dash cam and body cam videos. And when we see that, you and I can go ahead and make a judgment on what really happened in Charlotte. Now, do police officers make mistakes and shoot innocent people? Yes, it happens. And I've said it before, I worry about police officers who have spent too much time in bad neighborhood, war zones like Chicago, bad neighborhoods, day after day, dealing with an endless parade of human debris. And it gets to them, and maybe they should be rotated out from time to time. Until we actually start dealing with the real problem here, it's just going to be more of this. And no, sending reparations and more welfare is not going to solve the problem. It just simply isn't. And yes, I do think that police especially in urban areas like Detroit and Chicago and Charlotte and places like that, need to review their policies and whether they should rotate their police officers out and give them a break now and then. So there are problems that need to be solved here. But honestly, just my thought, the biggest enemy in this whole thing is Black Lives Matter. Well, I haven't heard anything yet that they've said which could be considered truthful. They seem to be trying to inspire violence.
A radio show? Yeah. Tip of the iceberg. Check out the YouTube videos. See what Glenn's talking about on Facebook and Twitter. You can find out more at boldrepublic.com.
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket costs when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
Should you be able to defend your family with a firearm? The right to own a gun was saved by just one Supreme Court justice. Now that judge must be replaced. Liberal elites want to take your guns, your equality, but Senator Grassley is defending your rights. He says not one more anti-gun justice. Not him. Not now. Not ever. The NRA Institute for Legislative Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome to Socialist America. For your convenience, we would like to introduce you to the Affordable Care Act. This voluntary program is mandated by the federal government with a fine that is not a fine or a tax, though you'll have to pay it through the IRS if you disobey. Your cooperation, you will comply, is appreciated. To save the American family as much money as possible, the Affordable Health Care Act has caused the price of health insurance to skyrocket. In fact, healthcare has become so expensive that many companies have chosen to drop healthcare coverage for their employees. Those who do not have health insurance will be dealt with, fined by a mandated tax that is not a tax or a mandate. Your federal government looking out for you every day. As usual, employees of the state are exempt from mandatory citizen regulations. And as always, thank you for your cooperation.
On behalf of the people of Ireland, I'd like to thank the American Congress for failing to reform your tax code. The corporate tax rate is 35%, the highest in the world, almost 3 times the Irish rate. So, for creating jobs all over Europe.
No, Glenn, it doesn't matter if you're part owner of the company. No cigars in the studio. Oh, what is that smell? Put your shoes back on. I don't want to smell that. Look, if you want good talent, you have to put up with some bad habits. Let's get back in there with the original Bad Habit Boy, Glenn Woods.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. This is officially a Thursday edition, and I swear I can see the weekend from here. It's like right over the horizon. So we'll just coast toward it together. Phone number to get involved, 844-700-BOLD. That's 844-700-BOLD or 2653. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more. Website is boldrepublic.com. Do you ever get in the mood just that's enough of the serious stuff? Yeah, I got some more serious news for you, and we'll pick that up. But I think like a lot of you, I mean, I get calls from people on occasion who just, I can't take it anymore. I need a break from all of this. Let's do that, all right? Carpet Express Direct Gillette, Wyoming has a marquee up to get your attention. Try our new carpet. Spills wipe cleaner than Hillary's email server. There you go. I feel better already. I have saved that sign. By the way, it's gone viral. People are like sharing it and liking it like crazy on social media. He might end up getting national attention over that. Now, I'm going to put 2 headlines together in this next one, just because sometimes an illustration, a real life illustration, not theory, a real life illustration makes the point. So in your mind, while I read this, tell me which one you think is real life and which one is theory. All right, let's go back to Charlotte, North Carolina, and the riots down there. Sponsored by the fine folks of the Democrat National Committee and Black Lives Matter. There's a video of a driver who was being blocked, and it looked like they were going to start beating up on his car and maybe drag him out of the car. He shows the protesters his gun, and they let him drive on through. Now, that's story number one. Now, remember, the mental practice that we have going on here is which is theory, which is reality. Headline: terror attacks stopped by heroic activists who establish a safe space in his mind. See? Okay, now, one of those stories is a real story, okay, and the other one is, well, theory, fantasy, we'll even say that. I'm going to read the other one. St. Cloud, Minnesota. Shane Williams was standing in line at an Orange Julius with his 6-year-old daughter when the screaming started last week. Instinctively, Shane pulled his daughter closer and began searching for the cause of the confrontation. Williams saw a woman running toward him. Blood ran through her fingers as she clutched her abdomen. Behind her, a man dressed in a security guard uniform appeared to be wrestling with somebody. Williams, who believed he might be witnessing an instant of oppression of some kind. Grabbed his cell phone. What happened next has caused everyone from the mayor of St. Cloud to the governor of Minnesota to hail him as a hero. As he drew closer, Williams was tipped off that the man might not actually be a security officer. The main clue was the man wasn't shooting or illegally detaining minorities, so maybe he wasn't a security officer. He instead grabbed anyone he could and stabbed them in the face or torso with a knife. Now, initially, Williams said, I felt a great deal of relief. A lot of times, he says, when I find real police officers for a cop block, which is a website you can go to, I have to step under a crime tape and lean into their vehicles or stand between them when personally speaking with them, blocking people from police officers. In other words, police officers are the danger. So without fear of being prosecuted for his expressing his rights, Williams checked his privilege, then approached the man. Immediately, I noticed that he was a person of color. So I asked him what his preferred pronoun was. I told him I was a proud ally and asked how he might battle the realities of systemic racism and how we could do it together. Recognizing Williams was, in fact, a prominent restorative justice person who only wanted a path toward freedom for all and understanding peoples, the man dropped his knife. And then the two walked to a Starbucks together where they established a safe space for them to sit in and talk about the importance of fostering queer affirmation and global networking and so on. And so the police are saying, Mr. Williams saved a lot of people today, say the police. Now, there's that story. Then there's the story of the guy that was in the mall, the citizen that he was not an off-duty cop. He used to be a cop, but he wasn't at the time. And he saw a terrorist stabbing people in the food court. And so he drew his gun and dropped the terrorist, saving a bunch of lives. Now, again, one of these stories is real. And one of these stories is complete fantasy based on flawed theory. So I'll let you, I don't think that I need to explain anything. Some of you are going to nod your head and go, yeah, I see which story is the fantasy and which story is the reality. But there's a few people out there, believe it or not, that have decided to change the channel because what I just described sarcastically does not fit the narrative of their life. And so they had to find another channel. They're listening to some safe music right now.
This is a generic liner. Kind of boring, isn't it?
You know, a lot of people buy expensive razors to get a great shave. Some people even belong to Razor Club. And while a good razor certainly does go a long way, none of that means a thing if you haven't properly prepared your face or your legs or your underarms or wherever for that shave. It's the preparation that's the key. That's where Shave Secret comes in. You don't need any soaps or oils or aftershave, none of that. Shave Secret is the best shave ever. Simply put, the best shave ever. 100% natural oils. Comes in a little bottle that looks like an eyedropper bottle. Just wet the face, 3 drops. It doesn't even lather. It'll help heal any nicks and cuts, helps with dry skin, rashes, shave bumps, ingrown hairs, and a whole lot more. And it's a perfect size to travel with too. Look them up online. Shave Secret. It's simply the best shave ever. A 100% natural product that'll prepare your face for the shave. Shave Secret.
Bold Republic.
There you go. Right over there. Nice. Atta kid. Wonderful. Good job. You know, I remember my 5th time as a high school senior. I was sitting in government class. My teacher, she says to us, the great thing about this country is that any one of you kids could grow up to be the next president of the United States of the America. And I thought to myself, not me. Oh, God, no, I am way too drunk to be the president. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was watching some of these presidential debates. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, my God, my government teacher was right. Any jackass can grow up to be the next president. I mean, you don't have to be smart. You don't have to be kind. You don't have to be educated. You don't have to be, like, attractive. God knows you don't have to have good hair. Nope. I realized that any bag could grow up to be the next president. And that's when I decided to throw my hat in the ring. I'm Hank Patterson, world-renowned fly fishing expert and wilderness guide. And today, in front of all you people, all my legions of fans, all those who love me, I want to announce my candidacy for President of the United States of the Americas. Patterson for President 2017. When I'm president, Casual Friday is going to change to Day Drinking Friday. What are my qualifications? How about I can catch a fish on a fly rod while I'm punching a rattlesnake in the face? If you want a president that's going to sip champagne at a cocktail party, you go ahead and vote for one of them. If you want a guy that's going to skip the cocktail party to eat pork and beans and drink beer around a campfire, you vote for me. You know those guys that are always like being total dicks? Yeah, that's going to be against the law. If you want some silver spoon money grubber trying to kiss your baby for a picture, you go ahead and vote for them. If you want me to stay away from your baby, you vote for me. I do not like babies. They're going to say things like, can we really trust Hank Patterson with the nuclear codes? I'm pretty sure when I'm president, I'm going to be way too drunk to remember the nuclear codes. If you're super rich, you want to get more super rich, you can go ahead and vote for one of my opponents. Now, if you're totally broke, and you want somebody to pass a law that says you can walk across that rich guy's lawn to get to a good duck blind or maybe a good fishing hole, check mark. Now, before you step into that polling booth this January, I ask you, am I qualified to be your president? No. Am I smart enough to be your president? Hell no. Am I a good choice to be your president? Not even close. Am I the best choice you got right now? Yeah, damn right I am.
America is facing an ongoing energy crisis. As oil gets scarcer, gasoline gets more expensive, and the planet suffers. Electric cars? Most of their electricity comes from coal-fired plants or nuclear reactors. So what's the answer? How about a car that's good-looking, affordable, and runs on clean, environmentally responsible natural gas? Your natural gas. Introducing the Flatula Backfire. It runs like the wind because it's running on wind. Here's how it works. Using state-of-the-art sanitary technology, Flatula captures all your emissions and efficiently channels them directly to a powerful turbocharged engine. It's clean energy, green energy, and best of all, it's renewable. The Backfire's range is practically unlimited, but if you should happen to run low, don't worry. You're never too far from a Flatula authorized service center, where trained, qualified providers stand ready to fill your tank with the gas that's right for your driving needs. Flatula Backfire. It's not just a smart car, it's the fart car.
Republican, Democrat, Independent. Shouldn't matter. Energy isn't a partisan issue. Producing more oil and natural gas here means more opportunity, more growth, more security for America. Who can't get behind that? I'm Kim, and I'm an energy voter.
It's a Thursday edition, Full Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653, and pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more. Website is boldrepublic.com. I'm about to play this. Don't let your kids hear it. If your kids hear this, they'll know what we're up to, and they'll be mad as hell. Now, it's bad enough they're going to be mad at you after you die when you find out what we've done to them. You don't want them to know while you're still alive. They'll try to put a stop to it. It's time to take a look at your national debt clock.
Your national debt clock countdown for September 22nd, 2016. 19,526 billion. And now a message from future generations.
Just a question. Why did you continue to subsidize things that never worked? And the more it didn't work, the more you subsidized it.
Well, obviously, you just keep subsidizing until it finally does work, even though it never does. But it will, even though it won't. But you try. This has been your national debt clock. Count up.
Okay, now the kids can listen again, because if they found out how much we were spending, and that they're going to end up owing all of this, they'll be mad as hell right now. Better that they were mad after you're dead, when there's nothing they can do about it. So we'll take that approach. Okay, I'm going to have to go ahead and mention her name. So let's just get this out of the way. Well, this gets annoying, but it happens every time. So Hillary Clinton... Yeah, isn't that something there? No, try it sometimes. You tell me, whenever you're around some horses, does that happen to you? You who work with horses every day, cows for that matter. Just go ahead, say Hillary Clinton. If you're a fan of the movie Young Frankenstein, you know what's going on.
I am Paul Bruchel.
So there you go once again. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the Hillary Clinton thing that's going on right now. Apparently, Hillary thinks that she should be like 50 points ahead in the polls for some reason. Now, understand, while I'm giving you this story, we're looking at her as she talks to union people. And so she's got to play up to union people, just so you know the context of what you're about to see. So in the context of Hillary talking to union people, this happened.
And I will fight back against so-called right to work. Right to work is wrong for workers and wrong for America. Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead?
Okay, she can't figure out. She's that right to work person. And having said that, she should be 50 points ahead. Why aren't I? Because I hate to break this to you, you're wrong. No, there's some union dunderheads that actually believe that, but then again, they're socialists. And as socialists, they don't believe in the idea of right to work. Now, if you don't know what that term means, here's basically what it means. Let's say you get a job at some company and they have a union at that company. Well, in some states, you have no choice. You have to join the union. The company has been unionized. You're going to join. If you want to work there, you join. That's it. You have no choice. Now, some states have loosened it up a bit, so you don't have to join if you don't want to. But because you benefit from the union, they say, whether you joined or not, you still have to pay union dues. So that's deducted from your paycheck. No, you didn't become a member, so you don't get to vote, but they still take your money out of your paycheck for union dues, which, by the way, a lot of that money goes funneling into the Democrat Party to elect more Democrats next time around. A right-to-work state is a state where if you don't want to join the union, you don't have to. And because you did not join, they're not going to deduct any money from your paycheck to pay for the union or the Democrat Party for that matter. So that's what a right-to-work state is. Now, for some reason, Hillary seems to think that that's just a bad thing. Well, I'll tell you the reason why. I actually know the reason she thinks that's a bad thing. Because she's talking to a bunch of union people And if she says right to work is a good thing, she'll lose their vote, so she has to say it's a bad thing. But let's go back and listen to her again and answer that question again. She doesn't seem to understand why she's not 50 points ahead.
And I will fight back against so-called right to work. Right to work is wrong for workers and wrong for America. Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead?
Because everybody else disagrees with you. That's why. Do you see why I take the simple answers to stuff like that? I mean, I could sit here and give you a long, drawn-out explanation as to why that's wrong. But she's not 50 points ahead because you guys out there already know the answer as to why it's wrong. It's not, she doesn't know, but you guys do. Well, to be fair to Hillary, to give some equal time, here's a message from the Clinton campaign. And while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and play the latest. I mean, if I'm picking on her, I might as well play for you the latest Hillary Clinton commercial.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message. Be grossly generalistic. You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what.
Right?
47% of Americans pay no income tax.
They're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic.
They should take personal responsibility and care for their lives.
Islamophobic, you name it. I'm Hillary Clinton, I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
Okay, so it took her a little while to get that out, but okay. And yet she doesn't understand why she's not doing better. Now, for those people who listen to Hillary and are going to vote for her, I'm just going to go out on a limb here because I wonder sometimes. I'm not trying to make a prediction or read somebody's mind or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. I just kind of wonder, do you think these people are going to vote for Hillary because, one, they agree with her, and there are some people who do, or because they know a vote for her is a vote for free stuff? Now, free stuff, translation, is stolen stuff. It's stolen from you and given to them. That's what they consider free stuff. Remember that. Whenever anybody from government talks about giving you free whatever, what they mean is stolen whatever. I'm going to give you free health care. You mean stolen health care. They're going to take the money by force from somebody else and give it to you. Now, every so often, somebody will turn to me and say, yeah, but the majority of the people voted for it. Then the majority of the people voted for theft. If you take my money without my permission, you stole it from me. It's as simple as that. So they would applaud Hillary and vote for Hillary, because, especially the unions, because, well, Hillary is promising, I am going to get government to take money from those people, whether they like it or not, and they're going to give it to you. That is my promise.
Let off a little steam. Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Old Republic is on the air.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responder discounts. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy America. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
She's one of the wealthiest women in politics. Combined income, $30 million. Tours the world on private jets. Protected by armed guards for 30 years. But she doesn't believe in your right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
I fully appreciate how hard life is for so many Americans today.
An out-of-touch hypocrite. She'd leave you defenseless. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
24/7, 365. Hospitals are there for us when we need them, whenever we need them. We turn to paramedics, nurses, and doctors on some of our toughest days, and some of our very best. And 24/7, 365, the oil and natural gas industry works to get them the energy that makes their work possible. Learn more at energytomorrow.org.
She wouldn't acknowledge you at a press conference if she had one. She emails on her own server because it's convenient. As a Clinton, foreign governments donate to her. She is the least transparent person in the world. She emails often, and when she does, the public can't see it. Stay secretive, my friends.
Are you a liberal who actually said out loud that you would leave the country if a Republican was elected president?
I'm serving my ticket to get out of here if he wins. Only because he probably have me deported anyway.
If any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family.
I'm sure you meant elected, not nominated.
And you're sure Canada really wants you?
Now, I know some of you are saying that you'll move to Canada. Please don't.
Well, let it never be said that conservatives are not compassionate, because now a free service brought to you by Taxing the American People will help you move today with Move-A-Lib. With Move-A-Lib, we will arrive at your door the moment that the election is settled. Our fleet of Move-A-Lib professionals are anxious to get your sorry butts out of here immediately. Need more than one truck? Oh, for God's sakes, we'll take care of that for you. No problem. Can't afford a plane ticket? We'll put you on a boat. Just name a country and we'll provide all the documentation to send you there as quickly as possible. Once you leave, you're not welcome back. And please don't let the screen door hit you in the ass on the way out. Call today. 1-800-MOVE-A-LIB. That's 1-800-MOVE-A-LIB. Reserve your moving van before November.
All right, I think I got this. He makes it his business to know the government's business and how they're all up in your business so you can go about your business. Well, where was I going with this? Kind of lost track. Anywho, Glenn is back on the air now. Yep, there he is.
Hello, my fellow basket of deplorables. It is good to roll around in a wicker with you. Good to be a member of an organization, a group of people, individuals, citizens who are considered deplorable because we want liberty, freedom, and are sick and damn tired of political correctness. So glad you can join us. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number. That's 844-700-BOLD. Or 2653. Now, I do believe that everything in life that you have earned, you should have earned. And I don't believe that you have the right to take from others. I'll give you an example. The difference between a thief and a mooch really isn't different. Well, in this sense. By mooch, I mean someone who's living off of the welfare system. Here's what I mean by that. A thief is somebody who will break into your house and steal from you, who might stop you on the street and pull a gun and say, I'm going to shoot you unless you give that to me. Okay, that's a thief. Then there are the moochers through government, the government thieves. They don't have the nerve, they don't have the guts to break into your house. So they're not going to do that. And they don't have the guts to pull a gun on you in the middle of the night on the sidewalk. Give me all your money or else. So instead, they get government to pass laws. And you have to give. You have no choice. You have to give it to them. They're not going to show up with guns, but if you don't go ahead and pay that extra tax, well, government's going to show up and take it from you. See, that's a different kind of thief altogether. But every now and then, I look at a thief and I think, now, I think maybe that guy has worked hard enough to deserve it. It was so difficult for them. The way they stole whatever they stole. It was so clever and well thought out and such hard work. I actually, for a moment or two, I'm not saying I would, just for a moment or so, I kind of think, maybe we should just give it to them. Here's an example. Headline reads from CNN. At the U.S. Mint, an employee may have smuggled gold where the sun don't shine. Now, this is not America. I'm sorry, Canada. Employee at the Royal Canadian Mint is accused of smuggling $180,000 worth of gold up his bum. There is absolutely nothing funny about that. Stop laughing. Actually, it's hysterical. Lester Lawrence is his name. He's accused of transporting several cookie-sized gold pieces. Now, wait a second now. Cookie-sized. What kind of cookie are we talking about? Not all cookies are the same size. Okay, I'll put that aside. We'll get back to that. Important note, if you're wondering about the physical logistics, there's these things they call pucks out of the mint. And they're selling them to gold buyers. His dealing allegedly netted him about $180,000 over the course of a few months. And now the fact that he worked at the mint has raised a few red flags about how the bank, how and where they transported money. And how he was able to take some and when no one was looking, put it up there. Now, although the prosecution couldn't definitely identify exactly what he sold, how much, and when, they did say they matched an exclusive mold test that the mint uses. Yes, the mint actually was able to test what gold they did find and say, yes, it came from his bum, from his hole. No, I'm not going to go any further. That's far enough. You understand where it came from. While trying not to put two and two together, prosecutors had to solve the slippery little problem. Is this getting too graphic for you? Of how Lawrence could have gotten the gold out of the high security building where he worked. And that's when investigators posted that he used a little ingenuity and a little Vaseline. They found a tub of the stuff in his locker. And while it was clearly his natural right to produce Vaseline, investigators did start to wonder what exactly was he greasing up. Now, stop and think for a minute. This is where I say, do you ever stop and look at what a thief does and think, considering all of the work he went through, just let him have it? I know you don't have to call me and say I'm wrong about that. I know I'm wrong about that. But you ever just for a moment stop and think, holy cow, let him have it? During testimony, it was revealed that Lawrence set off the metal detectors at work more than other employees, but they never seemed to find anything. Perhaps they were using the wrong, well, maybe they didn't scan back their property. I don't know. All of this comes from the Ottawa Citizen, a newspaper, which also includes this distressing nugget, no pun intended, in their reporting. The trial was presented with the prospect that a puck of gold could be concealed in a cavity and not be detected by the wand. I'll let you write your own jokes, but I mean the metal detecting wand. In preparation, for these proceedings, in fact, a security employee might actually have tested the idea. Yes, they actually, in order to present the case to the jury, they actually went and tested the theory. Now, I would like to know, as an employee, do you volunteer somebody? Bob, you're going to have to conduct a test for us. I know, Bob, you don't want to hear this, but God, whoever Bob is, he needs a raise. The court won't reach a decision in the case until November. And it's important to remember, the story says, Lawrence has not been convicted of a crime, and the defense claims the mint isn't even sure if any of their gold is, well, how much of it is missing or from where. So far, there's been a matter of following clues, and they really mean wherever they may lead. Also, special thanks to the judge presiding over the case in this. Now, to that particular thief, if he actually is, I mean, this is all alleged, but if he actually was stealing gold like that, I have to take a look at it and say, you're stealing the taxpayers' money. But you know something? You work so hard to do it, I think you might actually deserve it. Compare that to somebody who's just living at home, mooching off of the system, getting their free welfare checks, and they're not trying to do anything. And you wonder, why don't you have respect for these poor people? They won't even try to do anything. I mean, you ask them to go outside and pick up trash on the sidewalk and they complain. But look at what this guy's doing. So you see why I have respect for this guy. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
This is Bubba, but I know Bob.
Yeah, you know Bob?
Yeah. How much of a raise would he get?
Yeah, that's a good question here. I think Bob should be able to get whatever he can find, if you know what I'm saying. All right, let's leave it right there. All right. We send Bob on a recovery mission. And if Bob can find anything, it's a finder's fee and he can have it. So he might pull out a nugget worth like $5,000. Okay? Are you willing to work that hard? But let's go back to your common welfare recipient. Your average, and I'm talking about the mooch, not the person who's temporarily in trouble, but the moocher who's been there for like most of his life and has no intention of getting off welfare. Those people I have no respect for because that's where they've been their whole life, and I have no respect for them. But when someone steals from the taxpayer like this, that's a lot of work. And you got to give the guy some kind of credit. Now, if he ends up going to jail, think of it this way. All of his efforts, free room and board is the good news. And the bad news, if this guy ends up going to jail, is there's a lot of brute thugs in there that are going to look at him and think, ooh, a new piece of meat. Yeah. And from what I understand after watching the news, boys, that's right, there's gold up there. Let's go digging.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, and put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
Oh, you know, it's really hard to sleep when you haven't shaved your legs.
Too noisy?
And scratchy. And what happened to those smooth legs I love so much?
Well, it's winter and I hate shaving in the winter. The stubble sticks to my legs, sticks to my leggings when I get dressed, and ingrown hairs, nicks, razor burn.
Okay, wow. Too much information. I get it. Tell you what, next time you're in the bathroom, try that bottle of Shave Secret I have. Just moisten the area. Add a couple of drops of the clear liquid from the bottle. That's it. You don't need to lather up or put anything on for skin irritation after.
But the stubble still comes back.
You know, I have a good clean shave every day, right?
Well, yes.
So go use my Shave Secret so you don't have to feel uncomfortable during wintertime.
Aw, you really care. Come here and snuggle.
Okay, that really hurts. It's like cuddling with a baby porcupine who just fell in love with a sheet of sandpaper.
I'll go shave now.
BoldRepublic.com.
And
thank you very much for watching. I'm Mike Deneau. Federal charges are filed against accused bomber Ahmed Khan Rahami. Rahami is being charged with 4 counts, including the use of a weapon of mass destruction. Investigators linked Rahami to the incidents through a fingerprint and a cell phone on the pressure cooker that was found in New York. He is now recovering in the hospital after a shootout with police and is being held on more than $5 million bail. One America's Rachel Asenis tells us more about the suspect and why his own father warned police about him back in 2014.
Did you know that your son was doing this? No. You had no idea?
That was Ahmad Rahami's father, Mohammed Rahami, saying he had no knowledge of his son's plans. But now his story seems to be changing. In an interview with the New York Times Tuesday, Mohammed said he told police he was concerned his son was a terrorist back in 2014, when Ahmad was arrested for stabbing his brother during a domestic dispute. Ahmad was jailed on assault charges, but a grand jury declined to indict him. 3 years before that, the FBI says Ahmad traveled to Pakistan and Afghanistan and had praised al-Qaeda and jihadist causes, as he expressed in a notebook found when authorities captured him. He married his wife in Pakistan in 2011, and he petitioned to bring her to the U.S. That paperwork was approved in 2012. In 2014, he contacted the U.S. consulate concerned about his wife's expired passport and the renewal of her immigrant visa. Reports now show his wife left the U.S. just a few days before the bombings. Meanwhile, his family has a history of clashing with the community over the restaurant they owned and lived above, over late hours and loud customers. The mayor of Elizabeth, New Jersey, says the family sued the city and police back in 2011, accusing them of harassment and religious discrimination, subjecting them to citations for allegedly violating the city's ordinance.
There was a lot of congregation going on, a lot of people hanging out. The city council was getting complaints from the neighborhood, at which time they voted to close it at 10 o'clock, which led to some clashes with the police department because the police were enforcing the city council ordinance.
The family lost that lawsuit in 2012. As for the investigation of the bombings, the FBI continues to speak to family members and is working with officials overseas to get a hold of Ahmad's wife for further questioning. Rachel Asenis, One America News.
Hi, Ash. Things are escalating here very quickly, like I told you before. If you look over my right shoulder, there's a line of riot police that have basically formed a barrier between the people who are still out here rioting and looting and downtown Charlotte. What they're trying to do here is move people out of downtown, out of where the shopping centers, out of where all of these stores are, down here, because as we saw in our last live hit, people have been looting the stores. I'm here with a Charlotte resident, Jeffrey Simpson, to talk a little bit about what this means for the city. Thank you so much for joining us today. What you're watching this unfold in your city. What does this look like to you? What does this mean to you?
It's madness. I mean, the police are just evil. They're cruel. They don't want us to do anything. We're out here trying to peacefully protest. They don't want us to do that. They're telling us to move. Now they're breaking out. I mean, it's ridiculous. We just want equal rights. We want to be treated the same, just as white, black people. We all want to be treated the same.
What about the people that are looting the stores and like rioting here?
What else can we do?
Are they different than the peaceful protesters?
They're not different. They're acting in the way that they want a response. They want to be treated right. What else can they do? There's nothing else to do. We're out here peacefully protesting. They're making us move. I mean, what else can you do but break glass, make a scene, let people know that we are out here and we want to be treated the same?
How do you think Charlotte is going to move forward from the violence that's erupted today and yesterday?
They need to pick better police officers. They need to get police officers from the community that want to serve the community. If you're scared of black people, don't be a police officer. Just serve somewhere else. I mean, just do right. Just be right. I mean, no weapons or nothing, and they're shooting people. It's ridiculous.
And then finally, what would you say to the people of Charlotte moving forward, looking towards the future of the city, ultimately people who want to come back together and have a positive future for the city?
I mean, just treat us right. Just treat us right. We'll come together. We'll love each other. Just do the right thing.
So there you have it, Ash. A message of love, ultimately, I think, is what's going to take this city forward after a night like this with just violence that has erupted across the city. You can see there's some flash grenades going off behind me. This is very similar to what was happening in Ferguson and Baltimore. I'm going to have the camera pan over to the scene here. You can see that tear gas is being deployed. So I'm only really going to be able to report for about another minute before it before it takes over, because it's hard to breathe. So I'm gonna toss it back to you. Gotta go.
I'm American. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture hanging above my fire. Next to the deer, I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support 'em. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
Second hour of the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. The hell with it. It's open phones the rest of the way. Let's do this. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653, and pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more. Website is boldrepublic.com. And yeah, at this point, you can change the subject, interrupt me if you have to, whatever. Okay, so other news organizations on occasion, constantly to your annoyance, drop in these news alerts. You hear a sounder, a big crashing noise-making sounder, and you look at the TV, what's going on? News alert. And if you have an app on your phone, they use your apps too for that. Sometimes they actually have a story. Normally they don't. They just need to get your attention again. That's what keeps their ratings up. Fine. Work for them. It'll work for us. Ladies and gentlemen, with a bold news alert, Dan is live on location. Oh, Dan.
Thanks, Glenn. At 9:21 this morning, it was officially the first day of fall.
Oh.
At 9:22, it was still fall.
Oh, okay. Well, wonder what's going to happen at 9:23 this morning. All right. Well, there's Dan with a useless news alert. I'm sure you're so glad that you turned your attention to the radio for just a moment to hear that utterly useless piece of information. Let's go now to socialist Venezuela. Because socialist Venezuela, of course, is a worker's paradise where once again, because government takes care of everybody, cradle to grave, well, it's nirvana, isn't it? It's heaven. And if only we stupid capitalists could understand that everything needs to be equal and fair and properly distributed by a just government. And that's how people live in peace and harmony and never want for anything. Like in Venezuela. Because, everything's perfect there, right? Just like in North Korea and communist China. The old Soviet Union and all the Soviet bloc states, I'm sure they were just fine too. Cuba. Because, things have worked out so well in all of those countries. It's not like people are trying to sneak out or anything. Of course not. So to Venezuela, did I mention they take care of people cradle to grave? Well, the problem is they can't afford the cradle anymore or anything close to it. Here's a headline. Heartbreaking images of newborn babies being kept in cardboard boxes in Venezuelan hospitals. For those watching on the video stream, there's your cardboard boxes. Here's the story. Newborn babies are being kept in cardboard boxes due to Venezuela's healthcare crisis. Why? That can't be true. They can't be having a healthcare crisis. Well, no, it's not possible. See, this is socialism. And in socialism, healthcare takes care of people cradle to grave. And so there is no possible way that Venezuela, being a socialist paradise, is going through a healthcare crisis. It can't be. So apparently what I'm reading to you here is propaganda. Okay. Images, the propaganda piece says, were posted by a news source down there as tiny infants lined up in makeshift cots. Each wrapped in a blanket and half a cardboard box with their medical notes stapled, basically, a piece of paper to the front. The party that captured the photos says, so the world knows. In our neonatal units, the doctors in the hospitals are they're keeping the babies in these boxes because they don't have any incubators. And so this is the best that they could do for these poor babies born into socialism. Authorities are now investigating the images, which have, been independently verified. Wow. And this is being put, the world now knows this is being posted everywhere. Okay. Well, so I just want to make sure that everybody out there listening to me understands that what I've read to you must be propaganda. It's just simply not possible that a socialist country would have conditions like this, especially if it's government-run healthcare. Well, okay, I'll give you a great example. Here in America, our VA hospital system is modeled on single-payer, government-run socialist medicine. The same kind that Europe has, that Canada has, is being modeled on all of that. Therefore, you know that when veterans go to hospitals, it's not like they're put on some waiting list and end up waiting 6 months to a year to 2 years to 3 years and end up dead before they finally get their appointment. Not like that's never happened in America. That can't possibly be, right? Just checking. When Michael Moore, the guy who makes these alleged documentaries, got on a boat in Miami and went all the way down to Cuba with a bunch of sick people. And when I say sick, I don't necessarily mean physically sick. I mean mentally sick, because they were dumb enough to get on a boat with Michael Moore. And that right there takes some kind of special mental disorder. And you would think, just a side note, if you're going to get on a boat with Michael Moore, you want to make sure Michael Moore is in the center of the boat. Because if he goes over from one side to the other of the boat, the whole damn thing is going to capsize. So you make sure Michael Moore is in the center of the boat. And if Michael Moore wanted to take sick people to Cuba because they had universal health care, which was better than American health care, Michael Moore, if he was a compassionate person, would have not gotten on the boat themselves. You see, a boat, trust me, I grew up around the Florida Keys and so on. A boat of any size can only handle so much weight. Once you put Michael Moore in there, that's like 50 grown people who cannot get on that boat. He would have been able to put more patients on there if he hadn't gotten on himself. But I digress. So Michael Moore, actually in his movie Sicko, took a bunch of people with mental disorders, because they're stupid enough to get on a boat with Michael Moore, and went to Cuba to show that they have cradle-to-grave universal health care. And so because they do, it's obviously a better system. And they were taken on a tour of the hospitals there in Cuba and shown their propaganda. Now, if you'd like to know what a hospital in Cuba really looks like, well, you can believe Michael Moore's film and the propaganda that the Cuban government showed them, or you can go ahead and look up online. People have actually been to those hospitals and taken pictures when the government wasn't looking. But hey, that can't possibly be true, because government-run healthcare in socialist countries, in communist countries, when government runs healthcare cradle to grave in any country, it's not like Canadians have been sneaking into America to get better healthcare and healthcare that they can afford, right? People from the United Kingdom have been sneaking into America to get, because if they wait for the operation in the UK, they'll die waiting for the operation. So they sneak into America and go to a private hospital so they can get the operation now and at a decent price. Well, at least they used to be able to, until here in America, government started taking over the healthcare system. Now people are actually starting to look for other places. I used to think, I'm so glad I'm here in America, because if I ever wound up in the hospital for something and needed attention like now, then the attention is available like now and at a reasonable price. But the more government got involved in the healthcare system in America, I'm actually one of these citizens that now looks and thinks, what country can I go to get decent healthcare at a decent price? I'm actually starting to wonder that. Well, obviously, the answer is I should go to Venezuela, right? I should get on a boat, not with Michael Moore, unless I can make him stand in the center of the boat and never move. I should go to Cuba for healthcare, because Cuban healthcare system obviously is the best in the world, right? I should go in the UK, no waiting there, right? Oh, and it's free. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay a thing. True, when you get your paycheck, there's not much left of it, because the government took most of the people's money to pay for health care, but it's free. Even though they take most of your paycheck, it's free. You would actually have to be a thinking person that would stop for a moment and take a look at your paycheck to see if anything was being deducted from it. And when you found out that, oh, dear Lord, look how much money government's taken out of my paycheck for healthcare, then how are they telling me that it's free? But you would have to be a thinking person to stop and do that, wouldn't you? Yeah, I guess you would. Well, okay, anyway. Apparently, everything that I'm cynically telling you right now is just propaganda, because there's just absolutely no way that a country like Venezuela is keeping newborn infant babies in cardboard boxes. And I wonder, and this is what scares me more than anything else, what are they feeding these kids? Well, no, this scares me. What I'm telling you right now actually scares me, as I say. Let sarcasm aside for now. It actually scares me that we have babies being born down there in Venezuela, and we're in the middle of a food crisis. And I hope to God the World Health Organization is sending Venezuela formula or something for these newborn babies. I mean, for God's sakes.
This is a generic liner. Kinda boring, isn't it?
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket cost when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
When you get to the ballot box, what do you remember about the politicians you're voting for? The problem with American politics isn't this guy. It's this guy. So how do you know which one you're going to get? At Conservative Review, we set out to cut through the noise in politics and to give you everything you're interested in and nothing that you're not. We created CR Insider to help you do three things: verify, track, and explore. With our Liberty Score, you can verify at a glance who's actually conservative and who's just pretending, just for election season. Our customizable dashboard lets you track the politicians you care about, see how they vote, and if their positions change over time. And most importantly, we want you to explore our exclusive content, commentary from the best and brightest conservative authors you won't find anywhere else on the issues you care about most. For the first time ever, there's a trusted source that provides the unvarnished record of politicians, along with political and policy information for the issues you care about most. So whether you're walking into the voting booth, engaged in a lively conversation with friends or family, or simply want to learn more, CR Insider is just for you.
Welcome to Socialist America. For your convenience and safety, the free American citizen has been asked to turn in their guns. Your voluntary cooperation, compliance, is appreciated. Non-compliance is punished by imprisonment and hard labor. Defense of your home by the criminal element of our society can be achieved by dialing 911. Fear not. The police will be there in minutes, when seconds count. The safety of your household is our utmost concern. Good luck with that. Rumors of threats of tyranny are greatly exaggerated. Resistance is futile. As usual, employees of the state are exempt from mandatory citizen regulations. And as always, thank you for your cooperation.
Everything Glenn talks about is on his website, and that website is updated daily to keep you informed and scared. BoldRepublic.com. Back to Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show Thursday edition, and open phones the rest of the program. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Hey, this is Brian over here in Sheridan. Got the rest of the day to talk to you, right?
Yeah, go for it. It's open phone, so just have at it. Go ahead.
Here's the deal. I don't have a concealed carry permit. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that I don't pack.
Right, you're in Wyoming. You're allowed to do that.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I don't break laws. But here's the thing, man. I'm telling you, if a cop is behind me with his or her gun drawn, or taser on me or whatever, and they tell me to stop,
Right.
stop moving,
Uh-huh.
you know what I'm going to do?
I would say
I'm
stop
gonna
moving.
Stop moving.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull a book out of my pocket or a BB gun
Yeah.
or anything. You know, I am not going to get myself shot.
Okay, I guarantee that you, of all people, know the answer to this joke. What do you call a man who has a gun pointed at you? Sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All day long.
That's right,
And, you know,
yeah.
and that comes down into our training. I know you have a little bit of jujitsu training in you, or I forget what you said it was at one time, but here's what you do. You know, you always make the person that's bullying you,
Yeah.
you put him down into the coward phase, and there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you make him, you are his superior at one point, and that's your whole goal.
Right.
But when someone points a gun at me, especially a police officer,
Right.
because I live in America and I love the United States. But when you point a gun at me and you're an officer, I've never had that happen, but
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. But I wouldn't keep walking away from them, and I damn sure wouldn't put my fingers in my pocket
Right.
and pull them back out. I mean, you're asking for problems.
Well, the best thing to do,
problems come in the manufacture of 357. You know, bullets, man.
even if the officer, I mean, let's just imagine a situation where the officer is completely wrong about what's going on. Now you're about to be cuffed and arrested, and the officer is completely wrong. The answer is let him do it and then sort it out.
Right,
Because I would
exactly.
rather explain it to that officer's boss or explain it to the
Because
judge.
that way everything will be correlated.
That's
and
right.
it'll Here, now I watched that video of where that lady, where was that one at? In
Tulsa, was it?
In Tulsa, when Bessie shot that guy. Now the videos were kind of screwed up as far as I could see, because they had the 3 cops and she was on the left, but the helicopter was on the top, and they can say whatever they want. I didn't see it clearly enough that his window was rolled up. At the same time, I'm telling you, Glenn, if that would have been me, I don't care what color I was. If she had to call for backup to that point, and I was still walking away from her, I think that, maybe I deserve to be shot.
Right.
If I look like,
Well, and then let's add something else into this. How many times during the course of a week, because to me, I hear about these stories every single week. There are officers, there are officers who are just pulling somebody over for, let's say they had a busted tail light or an expired tag or something like that. And they go walking up to the car and they haven't even said anything to the person in the car. And all of a sudden they're being shot at. So they never know what they're up against. Every time an officer has to deal with a citizen, it can turn in a half second, a split second. It can turn on it.
And I think that this should be delegated into, like, when you get a driver's license. You need to be taught when you're 14 and a half, 15 years old, whatever, when you can get a license. The first thing that I do, Glenn, I've gotten pulled over a couple of times in my life. You know what I do? I put my hands at 10 and 2 on top of my steering wheel, and I roll my window down, and I sit there. Now, I know that might sound ignorant because we're in Wyoming or Montana, wherever I'm at, and we're kind of like friends, but I do not want that officer to be scared of me at all. And then I ask him, he asked me for my driver's license and my insurance, right? And I say, officer, can I open the door so I can reach over to the glove box?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what I might have in that glove box, and I usually have a 45 in there, and I always tell him that. And the next question is, can I see the gun? And I take it out by my fingertips, my thumb and my finger. I hand it to him. I says, it's registered. It's my gun. And here's my insurance, my registration. But, I'm just saying that not everybody has a gun in their glove box. But I'm just saying that officers I think they need to be scared of, you don't know what they're pulling over nowadays.
Oh, they have no idea. So that's why you're right. 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. And you make sure, again, to call the man sir while you're talking to him and speak in a very calm, even tone of voice and cooperate. You wouldn't have a single problem. I completely understand why they're nervous.
Polite, and I think that goes a long way.
Oh, it does.
Everything, maybe the guy will give you a ticket. Most of the times I just get I can't say most of the times. It's been 2 times since 1992 that I've been pulled over. But, I've always got a warning.
Right.
You weren't wearing your seatbelt, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I've also noticed that the more polite and cooperative I am, the more friendly they get. Next thing you know, they're smiling and we're chatting.
Oh, and there's actually a YouTube video out there. I can't think of the name of it. But it's like how to get along with a police officer.
There you go. I got to run because I got a break coming up bottom of the hour. Thanks for calling in from Sheridan. I appreciate it. And you can do what he just did. He just changed the subject. 844-700-BOLD or 2653.
Everything Glenn talks about is on his website, and that website is updated daily to keep you informed and scared. BoldRepublic.com.
Over the next 4 years, liberal policies of more spending, higher taxes, and a growing dependence on government will threaten America's future. Now more than ever, conservatives must take a stand.
This is the greatest country on earth. We are a leader for the world, and we need to continue to be.
The Heritage Foundation will take a stand, and we will lead the charge in offering principled solutions to America's biggest challenges, from spending and tax reform to reducing the size of government and maintaining a strong national defense. Call 1-855-502-2927 to join the Heritage Foundation today and receive a Heritage membership pack that includes a free pocket constitution, a subscription to our daily e-newsletter, The Morning Bell, and a window sticker that tells the nation you stand with Heritage. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
I consider the Heritage Foundation to be my voice in Washington.
Take a stand for conservative principles. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
Old Republic.
And what has gotten into Russia's top athlete? Needles, apparently, but more on that later as we yield for breaking news. Ed? Thank you. Breaking news that's horribly tragic. If your children are watching, we warn you it's graphic. Our lead story tonight atop the report was Donald Trump eating chicken with a knife and a fork. Plus, this Trump supporter is 11 years old. So what are his thoughts on? Are you reading the scroll? Who he thinks is best fit to lead us? Would he have voted for Obamacare when he was a fetus? I really don't mean to step on your staging, but it seems like there's war. Some battles are raging. Reporting the news. Is that not our vow? You know what? You're right. I'll cover it now. Well, the war continues. Yes. On Twitter as planned. Between Donald Trump and a Littleton man. Fighting is fierce. No sight of the end. Follow it all on our app. You're watching CNN. What I mean is while we're reading these trivial mysteries, people are dying. We're losing our liberties. They're inside our what? Isn't that banned? Inside our hardware. I understand. Well, that could be in your phone at this very moment. Yes. Pokemons. This town's Pokemon going. Plus, expensive beer. How hoppy's the taste? Fareed Zakaria. We'll copy and paste. Look, I really just think that there's stuff that we missed. Like, holy crap, is that true? Does that list exist? Cover the news. Shake up the ranks. The real news. Thanks. Well, it's a hidden document upon which fate swings. Yes. Fortune cookie fortunes. Who's writing those things? A man with no parachute just took a dive in today's most newsworthy instance of one flung from the sky. I know this is tough, so forgive the belittling. Rome is engulfed and we're sitting here fiddling. Executive orders, economy stuttering. These are the stories we're sitting here covering. There's war in Afghanistan, hurt in Iraq. You'd need $5 footlongs for turkey this bad. Mike. Breaking news. The war on whistleblowers continued today, and we'll update the condition of that Little League referee. Plus, it took the Olympics by storm. But what is it like to cup someone? Josh Duggar is in the studio.
You've been alone too long.
No, not really. I'm fine.
Well, thanks to G-Harmony, you won't have to be alone anymore.
No, I said, look, I'm really fine. I'm dating someone right now. And
yes, your federal government has taken over the online dating industry.
Oh, Lord, no. Please don't do this.
Yes, to make sure that you're seeing enough people, the right kind of people, and to make sure there is no race or gender bias in your dating life.
Look, I really don't like where this is going.
The government has spent over $800 million on a website that you're required to sign up for.
You know, I think your website just crashed.
Yes, for a low monthly fee.
It's like 10 times more than I paid for a private dating site.
Which you're required to pay for.
But I don't want...
I said you're required by law.
Oh, for the love of...
Just fill out the overly personal information, including the past 10 years of your IRS tax form and access to all texting and email accounts. It should only take a couple of days. Then we set you up with G-Harmony and who you are going to be dating. Then your personal life will be audited.
I don't get a choice? Oh, right. Government. What was I thinking?
Look, G-Harmony has already found a few candidates.
What's with the dude? I'm straight. I don't date dudes.
You'll be required to spend time with people from background, genders, and gender preferences in order to meet government quotas.
Okay, you know what? Hold on. I'm just gonna go ahead and call my girlfriend now and ask her to marry me before I have to sign up for this crap.
Gharmony.com. Because government thinks that you're lonely, no matter if you are or not. And we plan to do something about it, whether you like it or not. Look, it's either sign up for G-Harmony or go to prison, where you'll end up dating dudes anyway.
Should you be able to defend your family with a firearm? The right to own a gun was saved by just one Supreme Court justice. Now that judge must be replaced. Liberal elites want to take your guns, your equality, but Senator Grassley is defending your rights. He says not one more anti-gun justice. Not him. Not now. Not ever. The NRA Institute for Legislative Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hi, I'm Penn Jillette. Take a look at this coin. Take a look at this coin designed by Benjamin Franklin in 1776 for the First Continental Congress. There's a message on here that says, mind your business. Those guys are pretty clever. To honor the spirit in which this great country was founded, the Cato Institute has come up with a new way to honor these founding principles. For a monthly gift of $17.76, you can help Cato fight to save our disappearing liberties. Sleight of hand. You can use the coin for that too. And you get one of these coins and all the other benefits of sponsorship. Learn more about the Cato Institute and the 1776 sponsorship by going to www.cato1776.com. Heads, you're doing it.
It's a Bold Republic Radio Show, Thursday edition. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653. And you can do what our caller from Sheridan, Wyoming, just did. Change the subject if you want to change the subject. Now, that brought up a story. DJ, I'm going to out you on this one. DJ sent me a note during the break. She was pulled over for doing how fast in a how fast zone? Okay, residential zone. Take the speed limit for a residential zone and double it. Okay, that was DJ. Cop pulled her over. Why are you going so fast? And she said, I got to lock up my chickens. Now, try to remember, DJ, what was the singer that I had on some time ago? She came on the program to talk about coal mining and what she had found when she moved to West Virginia. And she had a song that I played at the end of her interview, which was Talk Country to Him. And in one of the little stories, there's a bunch of little stories in the song. And one of them is she gets pulled over by a police officer for speeding. And why are you going so fast? Well, she's got to close up the barn. And so he let her go. Here's the deal. The caller was absolutely right. When you're pulled over by a police officer or he asks to stop you, if you smile and say, yes, sir, no, sir, and talk nice to him and cooperate, it diffuses the police officer because they don't know what to expect. They don't want to be. Yeah, I know there's always bad cops. There's always good cops and bad cops. But most of these people are really decent people. Most of them became police officers for the right reasons. And they don't know what they're up against every time they approach someone. And every single day they have to approach dangerous people several times a day. Imagine how nerve-wracking that can be. So if you take your time and smile and you're polite and you're joking with them, you'll find the officer immediately relax. Oh, thank God, it's a normal person. And whatever the problem is, you'll work it out. It usually is the way. But if you start giving the officer a hard time and yelling back at him, well, now they're expecting the worst. And so if the police officer overreacts, okay, that's bad on the police officer for overreacting, but bad on you for putting him in that position in the first place. So I think both parties are to blame. All right, now I'm topic comment. If you want to change the topic or interrupt me if you have to, that's fine. 844-700-BOLD or 2653 is the phone number. So, okay, headline. Taxpayer-funded college bureaucrats deem barbecue theme offensive and are trying to force students to change it. Barbecue is offensive? Well, here we go. And by the way, when I tell you the name of this college, write it down. If you're someone who's going to send your kid to college, okay, write this name down. Add it to the list of universities and colleges you are not sending your kid to. There are plenty of good ones out there that are not getting involved in this nonsense. You can send them to those good colleges. Here we go. So the Ramapo, R-A-M-A-P-O, Ramapo College, New Jersey. They attempted to organize a themed barbecue to kick off the new school year, but administrators decided the theme American barbecue was offensive. American barbecue is offensive. Consequently, administrators forced them to ditch American barbecue theme and describe it just as a run-of-the-mill barbecue. Oh, we're going to have to get back into that. Yeah, calling it a American barbecue is offensive to people. I'm sorry, what country are we in? I rest my case. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Hey, Glenn, you remember when, okay, so we saw this guy down in Ferguson a year ago or so, and he went into this convenience store, and he was rude to the guy and stole those cigars.
Michael Brown.
Then he went walking down the street.
Yeah, Michael Brown.
And, and then it turns out, which we have on video, that he went for the officer's gun when he was pulled over on the side of the
Well, we
street.
don't have
Okay,
that
so-
part on video, but we do know, though, because it was investigated every which possible way. Even the Obama administration investigated it, and he had his head down, his arms forward, and he was charging the officer when he was shot.
Exactly. So now I have to ask you, what would you have done if you were in the position of the police officer?
I would have shot him.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know,
yeah.
you would have at least strangled him, but you didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, your only weapon before you could get out of that car was you had to try to draw.
Right.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so now let's go to this thing the other day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. So they were looking for someone else. They say that they saw this person get out of a car with a gun, and they walked up on him. They weren't looking for him, and he turned around, and now his sister says that he was doing nothing but waiting for his son with a book in his hand.
Oh, you're getting the two stories mixed up between Charlotte and Tulsa. Those are two different stories.
No, I'm talking about Charlotte.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently this guy, this black man, happened to be black. He got out of this car, and the officer said he saw him with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
His sister says he had nothing but a book in his hands, and that's going to be very interesting as it plays out. But you know, I'm just telling you, man. If I was a cop, I would be so scared in today's world of like what could possibly happen.
Right.
You
No,
know,
we'll find out because the body cams will tell us. And that's what they have to release now is each officer was wearing a body cam and there was a dash cam. Oh, do me a favor. It's still the 1 call per show rule. That helps the show sound a little bit better. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653. Now, I'm waiting. I would like for the Charlotte police to pick up the pace on this. God sakes, 2 nights in a row, they're ripping apart your city. I know they want to put the investigation together properly so they can make their case. I get that. Let's get to this already. Let's get it done. This is 2 nights in a row. And there's people going around believing that the officer shot an unarmed man. Or he just had a book in his hand, something like that. Well, okay. The police, police have been known to lie in the past. So at this point, I don't believe and I don't not believe either side of the story. I like to wait. I'm patient. I'll wait. But I think we've all waited long enough on this one. So, okay, you got the dash cam video and officers were wearing body cams, which, by the way, I am really glad these things not only have been invented, but are being used. Because there have been so many cases where people either misunderstand what they see or lie about what happened. And the video can solve not everything, but video doesn't lie. You can obviously see what's going on. Every time we go into commercial break, I check the headlines to see what the latest is out of Charlotte. And I have yet to see that they've posted these videos and or even just handed them over to the local media so they can run them on the news. So I would like to come in tomorrow, Friday, so they don't have a weekend of rioting and they've released the videos. Oh, come on, guys. Charlotte, come on. Let's get this out before we have another night of this.
Let off a little steam. Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Old Republic is on the air.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responder discounts. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy America. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
We all heard what Hillary Clinton said.
Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
She said it and she meant it. To her, it's just coal. To us, it's our way of life. Hillary Clinton doesn't care about people like us in places like this. She cares about her personal power. If it means crushing us to get what she wants, Hillary Clinton will do it.
Great America PAC is responsible for the content of this message.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, and put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
By now, we are familiar with that handy little message we get from the phone company that tells us it's time to pay our bill. But now, just for conservatives, and brought to you by the Tea Party, a handy little message that lets you know when you are paying someone else's phone bill. Yes, because most of us never bother to check the taxes on our bills, so we don't see that we are paying double the bill through state and federal taxes for the Obama phone program. Our new ringtone and message will help keep you riled up straight through the election season. And for those who like to really get pissed off, try the new app that lets you see the person you're paying for and even lets you hear what sort of calls they're making. I mean, why not? You're paying for it. And now through November 2014, you can have a Tea Party Obama phone app secretly attached to your liberal friends' cell phones. No extra charge.
So what's the matter, Senator? Flushing all that taxpayer money down the toilet, clogging up the drain again?
And how? And nothing works when the money don't flow.
And I bet flushing all that Chinese money really clogs the pipes.
Oh, with interest. Yeah, Chinese money's the worst.
Well, Senator, to keep that money flowing, why not try this new pipe cleaner? It's called Debt Bomb.
Debt Bomb?
Yes, Debt Bomb, Senator. With all the pressure building up in the pipes from all that money you're flushing down the toilet, well, there's just simply no flow. You need something to clear the clog. But don't worry, the pressure will eventually build up that you can just shove Debt Bomb into the toilet and everything blows sky high.
Oh, look at it go.
Why, there's nothing left. No, Senator, there's nothing. No economy, no country, nothing.
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing.
Endorsed by governments worldwide. It's inevitable. Debt Bomb.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. OldRepublic.com.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. This officially is a Thursday edition. Open phones, 844-700-BOLD or 2653. And since it's open phones, remember, I get on a topic. You can change the topic. Interrupt me if you have to. That's fine. That's okay. Cool with me. Donald Trump has to be careful here. I'll get back to the hot dog story and the American barbecue story in just a second, but this just popped up in the news. Trump, you got to be careful about how you say things. Okay, so apparently this morning on Fox and Friends, he was asked a question. Fox and Friends, the question was, will you explain what that is to the folks down South Carolina? Don't know what stop and frisk is. What exactly are the pros and cons of it? That's just something that they had in New York for a while. Police officer saw you walking down the street, he could just stop you, frisk you. And if they found guns, paraphernalia, whatever. Now, civil rights advocates said you can't do that. And it was stopped. Now, some people complain, well, yeah, but, we started having problems once that was stopped. Okay, here's the deal. We're supposed to be free people in a free country. The police cannot just stop you if you're just wandering down the street. A police officer cannot just walk up to you and say, who are you? Let me see your ID, and then frisk you. Absolutely not. Okay, if an officer ever does that, you have grounds for a lawsuit right there. You can make sure he loses his job. Absolutely not. And New York was actually doing stop and frisk for a while. Now, if there's a reason to stop you, if something's going on and the cop has a reason to stop you, then they can start asking all of that. But unless he can't just do it because he's randomly stopping people. And he can't make up a fake reason either. Here's Trump's answer. Well, there are different levels. And you have to have somebody coming up who is the expert on it. But basically, if they see, by the way, it's so hard to read Trump. The way Donald Trump speaks. I've seen experts like Brett Baer on Fox News try to read a Donald Trump quote. So if you hear me stumbling, even Brett Baer couldn't get it. Okay. Trump said if they see, they are proactive and they see a person possibly with a gun and they think they have a gun, they will see that person and they will take that gun away. They will stop, they will frisk and take the gun away. They won't have anything to shoot with. I mean, it's not like it used to be in Chicago, to be honest with you. It's quite unbelievable. The police, the local police, they know who has a gun. They shouldn't. Oh, God. Okay, I get lost trying to read all this. You get the idea what he's trying to say? Police officer sees you walking down the street. I think that guy has a gun, and he can just stop you and frisk you. Okay, good thing that doesn't happen in Wyoming. If a police officer sees someone walking down the street and the guy is either concealed carry or open carry, and the police officer can tell, the officer doesn't ask the question, does that person have or not have a gun on them? If you can see, obviously he does. That's not the issue. Is this person doing anything which the police officer should be worried about? And I don't mean carrying a gun. Is he acting suspicious or twitchy? I mean, there's times I've walked into a grocery store and I've seen somebody in front of me grocery shopping and they have a gun on them. And that's okay around here. We're just fine with that. There were police officers shopping right alongside them. The officer would not be looking at the weapon, but would be looking at how the person is acting. And there's the difference. And a good police officer is not only trained, but pays a good amount of attention to how the person is acting. Because even if somebody is not armed, if they're acting funny, if they're acting in a suspicious way, now you have the police officer's attention. But if you're just going about your business, you don't have his attention. They're supposed to be trained to recognize this. So my warning to Donald Trump, now, maybe they got used to it in New York City and they think it's okay, but it's not okay. To just stop citizens on the streets randomly and just frisk them because the officer thought, I think I should frisk this person, is not something that's done in a free country. That's what's done. Earlier in the hour, beginning of the hour, I talked about Venezuela and other communist countries. That's what happens in socialist countries. That's what happens in fascist countries. That does not happen in free countries. So for you Donald Trump supporters out there, now you've heard me say this kind of stuff before. Whenever, I don't care who your candidate is, whenever your candidate makes a mistake like this, don't defend them. You are the first person to get a hold of that campaign and say, the hell you guys doing? You need to explain this to him or he's going to lose my vote. That's how we need to handle politicians from now on. I find far too many people who make excuses for Trump, who make excuses for Hillary, who tried to defend Obama. When the fact of the matter is, whenever they see those people doing something wrong, it's the supporters who should be the first person in that guy's face saying, what do you think you're doing? I am not going to defend you when you're doing stuff like this. I'm not doing it. I'm going to find somebody else to vote for if this is what you're going to do. I'm not doing this anymore. And that should wake the candidate or the politician up. It should get them to understand, wake them up and get them to understand. They will lose support if they keep acting this way. Now, I think in part, maybe I'm going too far. You guys tell me if I'm going too far. I think in part, Donald Trump has started to get that message. Because lately, when I hear him out on the stump somewhere giving a speech, he's sticking to the teleprompter, which I prefer an extemporaneous speaker. I mean, hell, I'm an extemporaneous speaker. I prefer when someone just talks it out, tells you what they really think. But Trump has a tendency to say idiotic and unusual things. He mouths off and then later has to find a way out of it. Well, hell, Hillary's just as bad. So the answer then, hell, Obama's just as bad. So Trump is sticking to the teleprompter, and they're attempting to make him sound more presidential, more level-headed. And it seems to be working. Hillary is now coming across as the crazy one. It's not really that much of a stretch for Hillary to come across as the I mean, obviously, you know. But she's coming across as the crazy one, and Trump is actually coming across as much more normal and sane. Now, if he keeps this up, he can actually win this thing. I'm not big on don't call and recite poll numbers to me. I know a lot of you guys hyperventilate over the polls. I don't care about the damn polls. I care about November. Polls are garbage. I'm not listening to them. You know, how many times have they been wrong? Forget polls. But he could actually win this thing and pull it off if he sticks to doing what he's doing right now, and that's sounding more like a normal human being and less like the Donald Trump that you guys know and love, who sounds like a complete nutball, an out-of-control, loose cannon nutball, say however you want to say it. So, okay, a mistake by Trump. Stop and frisk at random in a free country? Not just no, but hell no. And so let me put it out there to the Trump supporters before this gets out of control. This is not conservatism. This is not freedom. This is not liberty. We don't do this in a free country. That's why stop and frisk was shot down in New York, and they don't do it anymore because you're not allowed to do that to free people. A person can only be stopped and frisked if they're actually doing something disruptive in some way. Now you can stop and frisk them. You Trump supporters, get a hold of your candidate and let him know why what he's doing is wrong. And let him know that if he doesn't quit, he might just lose your support. That'll get him back on track. Sending your kids out to play.
Now hold still.
Mommy, I can't breathe.
Well, playtime's not what it used to be.
Am I supposed to go out and play if I can't even move?
Well, with all the dangers that are out there in the world, like Nerf soccer balls, hugs, and who knows, your kid might come across a 5-year-old selling lemonade on their front lawn after school.
Now this is for your own safety. Put your helmet on.
It's hot all this stuff.
Don't take any chances in today's dangerous world. Make sure to bubble wrap your kids before they step out the front door.
This isn't fun anymore. I don't want to go out and play if it isn't fun anymore.
Don't forget knee pads, shoulder pads, elbow pads, and helmets. Earplugs in case you hear any offensive words. 911 on speed dial on their cell phone. The number of a counselor, just in case they see, hear, feel, smell anything that might be considered remotely offensive. Better idea, just keep them inside. It's far too dangerous out there in the real world. Have you heard about the federal government's new Affordable Car Act? Well, since the Affordable Care Act is doing so well, I'll ignore that. They decided to implement the Affordable Car Act. The Affordable Car Act mandates that you buy insurance for everything on your car. Oh, not just catastrophic insurance in case you get into a wreck like this. But no, you need to cover everything, whether you need it or not. Balding tire insurance. Running low on gas insurance. That way you have to go through your insurance company every time you go to fill up your car. Running low on windshield wiper fluid insurance. Windshield wiper replacement insurance. Car wash insurance.
Wait a minute, isn't it cheaper if I just pay for all of this directly?
Are you kidding me? By making you pay for all of these things through your insurance company and through government bureaucracy, you'll save a ton of money. Just like with the Affordable Care Act.
That doesn't make any sense.
The Affordable Car Act. Now 5,000 pages of government-mandated automobile insurance regulation and growing.
questions are being raised about the level of access Clinton Foundation donors had to Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State.
This comes as federal records obtained by the Washington Examiner show dozens of donors were awarded positions on state advisory boards despite being unqualified. One America's Sonia Notoa has the details.
It is impossible to figure out where the Clinton Foundation ends and the State Department begins.
It's an issue Donald Trump has hammered Hillary Clinton about: the access Clinton Foundation donors had to Clinton during her time as Secretary of State. And now new federal documents reviewed by the Washington Examiner reveal 194 donors who either gave money to the Clinton Foundation or her campaign were placed on State Department advisory boards between 2009 and 2012, raising further questions about pay-for-play allegations.
If our Secretary of State can be bought or bribed or sold, look, what's happening right now with government favors, then the whole American system is threatened.
While the appointments do not give evidence of any illegal activity, the Washington Examiner points out that many of those who were appointed were not qualified. For example, Kaki Hockerschmidt, an interior designer who raised $100,000 for Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign, was appointed to the board of UNESCO, a global humanitarian organization. Ken Miller, a banking executive who has donated to Clinton since her bid for a Senate seat in New York, landed a position on the International Economic Policy Advisory Board. He later became a senior advisor for the Teneo Holdings consulting firm, which has deep ties to the Clinton Foundation. The firm hired one of Clinton's top aides, Huma Abedin, a move that has become a controversial issue, as Abedin was also working at the State Department and for the Clinton Foundation. And as previously uncovered by government watchdog Citizens United, Chicago businessman Rajiv Fernando, who donated $5 million to the Clinton Foundation, was appointed to the International Security Advisory Board with no security qualifications. Fernando has since resigned from the board after being questioned about his appointment. The president and CEO of the Clinton Foundation has downplayed the appointments, saying they did not have any effect on policy decisions.
People in public life are used to doing that is making courtesy appointments for people. I certainly did it as secretary with requests from Republicans in Congress. So I don't find it unusual.
And Clinton has said there were no ties between her work as Secretary of State and the Clinton Foundation.
There is absolutely no connection between anything that I did as Secretary of State and the Clinton Foundation.
Meanwhile, Trump continues to insist that Clinton is not fit to be president.
America can never elect a candidate who, like Hillary Clinton, did government favors for those giving her family and her foundation massive amounts of cash.
A flashbang just went off here in downtown Charlotte. You can hear behind me there are more flashbangs going off and tear gas. When the initial flashbang went off, police were trying to disperse the crowd. A man was hit in the side of the head, went straight down, was bleeding from the head. He was completely unconscious. At that point, rubber bullets were fired into the crowd to try to disperse the crowd. We're going to have to go right now. You can hear more flashbangs and tear gas are being set off behind me. If you look off in the distance, you're going to see a lot of tear gas and people that are trying to get out of the way. And if you give me 1 second here, I just want to show you the scene. Okay, come with me. We're still alive. We're still alive. We're still alive. Okay, so there's tear gas that has been fired. There's tear gas that has been fired, as you can see. It affects your lungs. It affects your eyes. The police right now are trying to disperse the crowd from this area. Again, after that man was hit in the head when the flashbang went off, they were trying to get to him to provide medical attention. And so far, they've been unsuccessful of actually getting to the man. He's in front of a shopping center here in downtown Charlotte. And from what we know so far, and you can hear more flashbangs going off in the distance. What we know so far, they're trying to get that man out. Now, all of these protests started yesterday when a man was. 1 second. I'm sorry.
It's just more. I'll get you another one.
Thank you. I'm sorry. There's a lot of tear gas in the air here. A lot of the media has left this area, but we feel that it's important to stay here to tell you the rest of the story. If you pan the camera here, you can see that police officers are trying to help a woman who was hit by tear gas over in that parking garage. We've got a lot of people out here. I'm going to toss back to you, San Diego. I'm sorry, the tear gas is very heavy. We're going to try to come back later on when we can report more of the news to you. Thank you.
I'm American. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture hanging above my fire. Next to the deer I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support them. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
It's a Bold Republic radio show, Thursday edition. As always, pretty much everything I talk about and a whole lot more. Website is boldrepublic.com. Don't forget the Bold app for that. So if you ever want to catch the program, and you can't catch the program live, you can catch it later, download it to your device, listen straight off the device, catch it live off of the app. Just go to your app store, type in Bold Republic, and it's free. Okay, usually on Thursdays, I get a call from Wyoming Liberty Group. I don't recall getting a message about who the guest was going to be. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone?
This is Charlie.
Oh, Charlie Seavey. Okay, I don't recall getting a message that you were going to be on today, so I just took a gamble that it was you hanging on there.
Oh. They didn't,
not that I'm aware of, no. Well, I tell you what, go buy some of that silly string and go into the office of the person who's responsible for that. And after you're done spraying the can empty, tell them it was for me.
That sounds like
That's
a plan.
That's a plan for me. Okay, what you got for me today?
All right. Well, we decided to send out a poll to about 600 Wyoming voters, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, all of them.
Okay.
The reason why is because there's just we're facing a lot of challenges right now, budgetarily, economically. And what we want to get a feel for is, what do average people want? What do they expect from their legislators, and what do they think they should do about this crisis?
Right.
And we got a lot of interesting results. And in terms of tax policy, and in terms of how we should deal with the budget, they found that 65% actually completely oppose, would actually favor if the legislators promised to not to raise any taxes whatsoever. That was a big surprise.
What I would love to see people do is get a hold of, if they want their representative to sign that pledge, call the guy and say, if you want my vote, you're signing. Yeah. If he gets enough calls on that, he'll sign.
Yeah. And another interesting thing we found is that a rather large majority of Wyomingites actually are against Medicaid expansion.
Wow.
And what's interesting is we found that a clear majority are against Medicaid expansion. But if you tell the people that support Medicaid expansion if they would still support it if it raised their taxes, then 58% of the respondents actually oppose it. So this shows that Wyoming voters and taxpayers actually clearly understand the trade-offs that are involved with Medicaid expansion. It's not free money. It has to come from us, the taxpayers. And they don't think it's a good deal at all.
You know, in most cases, not in every case, but in most cases, people have a pretty good understanding of what's going on. But what kills me, though, is they still, when you see the way they vote and what they vote for, it tends to go against their understanding. I've never understood the disconnect on that. Or to do so, I've been encouraging people lately to do one of the things I just said to you, especially in a small state in Wyoming. If there's something going on, mainly during an election year, and you don't like what's going on, well, who's the candidate that you support? Get a hold of that person and let them know, if you want my vote.
Yeah.
That's how we control these people.
It's typically harder to do that in other states or even nationally, because this what politicians will always do. They'll conjure up this idea of there are these other people that we can tax. There are these wealthy people, these wealthy corporations we can tax. In this economic climate in Wyoming, people know that other person, that other corporation just isn't there. We rely on a few resources to fund our schools, provide jobs, and just keep the lights on, more or less.
Right.
Revenue from all three of those is getting hit hard, and people understand that. And I think what people realize in this, and another thing we found, is that people would very much oppose new taxes because they know that that's going to hit the average person the most.
Especially during a downturn. We're in a bit of a downturn in Wyoming. You don't raise taxes now.
Oh, absolutely not. No, if you want to keep people here, if you want to bring innovators here and job producers and job creators and businesses, you don't put a giant sign up that says we're going to take more of your money.
Yeah.
That's never worked before.
Okay. Did you have anything else in that poll?
What we found, I'm just taking a look at it right now. What we found, another thing is people think that 50% actually, when it comes to how we should deal with this budget crisis, a clear majority thinks we should cut wasteful spending.
Yeah.
And so I think people really understand that there was a lot of bloat in there, and that we shouldn't, to address this crisis, we just shouldn't keep throwing more money on the pyre.
Right. Let me give you, and I'm just going to put this bug in your ear because you're closer being there in Cheyenne. One of my pet peeves, and I was confronted with it yet again today, and boy, we could save a lot of money on this. So apparently, there's a proposal. I don't know if it'll go through, but where I am in Gillette, Wyoming, they want to get rid of their current visitors center, which is a little building, and they want to build a near $1 million visitor center. And this is another push for this kind of stuff. All right. I would love to see someone finally explain, not just to the governor, but people in the House and Senate. I know it's harder to explain to people at the city level because, like in Wright, Wyoming, they were convinced that visitor center was just going to help expand the city of Wright. Well, of course, it doesn't. My family has been in for the whole time I was a kid. We were in the tourism industry. Visitor centers barely worked back in that age, and that was before the internet. Today, everybody's on the phone. If you're traveling cross country, across the state, you're on your phone to get information. So if you want to save a lot of money across the state, budget-wise, a great answer is, and a lot of cities are going to get mad at this, just start closing down these visitor center. Nobody's visiting them anymore. They barely did before. Get on those phones, and getting on those phones costs a whole lot less than building another multi-million-dollar visitor center.
Of course. I think people can understand this if they're actually properly educated on this issue. If you went to them and said, look, revenue is down, there's only a few sorts of programs and projects we could fund. We could fund a visitor center that nobody uses and is pretty expensive, or we could patch those potholes. We could make sure there's more law enforcement on the streets to keep our communities safe.
Yeah.
And once people realize that there are trade-offs, then they can start to be proactively involved in the conversation and start to actually have a much more informed say over, these are things that are important, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that we really don't need. Another thing I wanted to say about this poll, we found that about 61% of Wyoming voters consider the government wasteful in some way. 46% consider it somewhat wasteful, and 15% consider it very wasteful.
Yeah.
So people see a lot of this waste in their daily lives. A lot of this just got piled up when the money was coming in, but we really can't afford to keep throwing money at programs that just aren't doing that much good.
Right. Well, and there's also, it depends on what you want to define as waste, because yes, there are wasteful programs, obviously. But in my book, wasteful, not just the visitor center, but for God's sakes, quit buying the damn statues and putting them everywhere. There's all sorts of wasteful things that government does like that. I mean, I even take a look at what they're trying to do and renovate the Capitol. I know the Capitol needs some work. You want to talk wasteful spending. So we see it in a lot of areas that people don't tend to classify as wasteful. I've been complaining for a long time here in Gillette, the field of broke, as I call it. We just don't need the thing. It's wasteful spending. People look at it as it's community improvement. It's a massive money pit is what it is. It's wasteful spending.
That's a whole nother category. There is doing things that should be done in an expensive way, in an improper way, in an inefficient way. Then there are those things, like you said, those statues that you mentioned, or those visitor centers. They just shouldn't be done at all.
Right. Why isn't, you mentioned Medicaid expansion here, and the majority of people don't want it.
Sure.
How is it? It's like a horror movie. Every time we put a stake in the damn thing, you start the characters of the horror movie start to walk away. Well, I'm glad the creature is finally dead, and here it is again. How does it keep coming back?
There's a lot of money behind it. The hospitals support it. I've heard that Blue Cross Blue Shield supports it. Healthy Wyoming, which is a group, consortium of a lot of established business and public sector groups. They all have this money behind it, and it's the idea. And I think this is just a really weird idea that there are easy solutions to complex problems.
Yeah.
Healthcare is an extremely complex problem. It did not get this expensive and this messed up overnight. But the federal government has come in and said, hey guys, we have this huge problem and it's so simple to fix. Just take this money and take our rules and just forget about it.
And what they don't understand is that, oh, look at all this money they're going to throw at us. Well, taking that money is going to cause you to go broke when you take a look at the way they're going to give it to you.
Yeah, they could just look at hospitals in other states. They could look at doctors in other states and see how they're being reimbursed and how they're actually being hurt by expanding this entitlement. It's not free money. It has a lot of strings attached, and pretty soon the federal government is going to be pulling back on those strings, but the responsibility to keep taking care of those people will still be there. This is the way it always works. They offer to a big program, lots of promises, and then they slowly but surely take away their end of the bargain, and then we're left holding the bag.
Well, and they have to, because we're coming up on $20 trillion in debt. They simply don't have it. You write about this kind of stuff extensively. Where do people find you?
They can go to wyliberty.org.
Okay, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, no, he's absolutely right about, well, we were right about how the money just keeps on disappearing with the federal government. They promise a lot, but you're not going to get it because, well, the federal government's going broke, for God's sakes.
A radio show? Yeah, tip of the iceberg. Check out the YouTube videos. See what Glenn's talking about on Facebook and Twitter. You can find out more at boldrepublic.com.
She's one of the wealthiest women in politics. Combined income, $30 million. Tours the world on private jets. Protected by armed guards for 30 years. But she doesn't believe in your right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
I fully appreciate how hard life is for so many Americans today.
An out-of-touch hypocrite. She'd leave you defenseless. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Stan, why are you wearing a sweater with a bullseye?
It's hunting season,
and
there are hunters everywhere.
Okay, but why the bullseye?
Well, if everyone's been shopping at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports,
that's bad.
The way I figure it, we don't stand a chance.
Oh, good point. We don't stand a chance.
Might as well give them a clean shot.
With everything you need for hunting season, Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, with locations in Casper, Gillette, Riverton, Sheridan, and Cody, Wyoming. Nice knowing you, Frank.
You too, Stan.
Hello, America. Have you had enough of the NSA spying on you? Would you like to get a little revenge? Well, how would you like to join us? As the ASN, the American Stalkers Network, is looking for creepy people to out-creep the creeps at the NSA. And if you're one, or you just want to out-creep the federal government, we would like to talk to you. Do you like stalking and hacking on computers? Do you like the idea of staring into a 20th floor city apartment window with a drone camera? Does digging into a complete stranger's personal information excite you? What if that stranger worked for the NSA? Now you're talking. Would you like to take that personal information and turn it over the blogosphere? Or maybe the IRS? If so, give us a call today, but use a payphone in another state. Oh, and if you've been convicted of unwanted groping, we're going after the TSA next.
gas-powered, diesel-powered. But have you ever considered driving a coal-powered car? Yes, overpriced, heavily subsidized electric cars are available now. I'm sure they'll take all night to charge, and they don't get anywhere near the mileage a gas-powered vehicle gets. And those toxic batteries made from rare earth minerals? Well, but by driving an all-electric car, you're supporting one of America's most important industries. Coal. That's because coal is used to generate 49% of America's electricity. Petroleum and nuclear produce most of the rest. Hydroelectric only produces 7%. Those so-called renewable energies, which take more mining for rare earth minerals, leaves toxic chemicals as a byproduct and toxic batteries. And let's not forget those wind turbines, killing about an estimated 500,000 birds a year in North America alone. Well, they only produce about 2% of America's energy. That's why we encourage you to start driving coal today. The coal is plentiful and cheap, and by driving a coal-powered car, you'll be helping to fight the Obama administration's war on coal. So go on, buy an electric car, support a great American industry, and drive coal.
So, yes, Glenn is pro-gun, but we only let him have one bullet, and we make him keep it in his pocket.
Sound familiar? Inside that man's body is a little child calling out for help.
Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show, Thursday edition. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be some really bad news for those rioters. They've gone too far this time. The ones in Charlotte, North Carolina. Headline: NASCAR Hall of Fame looted during the Charlotte protests. Oh, do not mess with those boys. No, not the NASCAR fan. Oh, you're asking for big trouble out there. Okay, let's see where this goes. The NASCAR Hall of Fame has been looted overnight, Charlotte, North Carolina. Windows shattered, signs hanging through the glass. $195 million museum. State of emergency declared on the city. Here's a tweet from Katie. I have no idea what the last name. I am told NASCAR Hall of Fame was looted. Buffalo Wild Wings looted. No, not Buffalo Wild Wings. Why would you do that? Buffalo Wild Wings. Why? That's cultural appropriation. Kenneth Lamont Scott. It tells you why. We already know why the whole thing started in the first place. That's where the story goes next. Okay. So, all right, it's on now. You loot that NASCAR Hall of Fame, boy. I tell you what. All right. Now, see what kind of trouble the rednecks cause. And in case you didn't know, North Carolina is filled with rednecks. I know. Shocking, isn't it? All right, so I was starting the story last hour. I got to finish this story. Headline: taxpayer-funded college deemed barbecue as offensive. And the reason why is because it was called an American barbecue. That was too offensive. Consequently, students were told by the administrators they had to change the theme to just a run-of-the-mill barbecue. The plan was a pair in Residence Hall, college Republicans and college Democrats, to organize and host an American barbecue event, September 16th, Friday. Was that last week? The two campus political groups would feature tables at the event. There would be information, registration, and so on to vote. So it was a big get out the vote campaign. What could be any more American? It's a get out the vote campaign, and we're going to have an American barbecue. Trouble began to brew just 2 days before the American barbecue, when one of the residence halls withdrew because someone, possibly a student, possibly an administrator, was offended by the Uncle Sam flyers and advertising for the cookout. Somebody was offended. Well, somebody needs to be told to get over it. The flyers were too military and recruitment oriented and considered offensive. I got news before I read on with this. Just because somebody is offended does not mean they are correct, does not mean they're right. There's a lot of people who are offended, and they are wrong to be offended. But their feelings are hurt. Well, they're wrong to have their feelings hurt. You don't give in just because somebody acts, oh, I'm all hurt and this is offensive to me. It's perfectly acceptable to turn to them and say, well, if you're offended by that, you're just a stupid idiot. Now, see, now they have something to be offended and hurt over. Before they didn't. No, I'm serious. The deeply controversial flyers featured some basic versions of Uncle Sam pointing at you. We want you to come to our barbecue. Okay, so they responded by asking for details about who the American barbecue would offend. Quote, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think it was an administrative person. I was told that our advertising was too military oriented. What do you think? Matthew Seafrost, vice president of the college Republicans, this is Ramapo College, told Campus Reforms he believes the administration thought that the posters were too military. What's wrong with the military? Come on, they're just the people who keep you free, for God's sakes, and they volunteer to do it. That's offensive to you? In an essay at the social media platform, the college Republicans liken the forced scrubbing of America from the barbecue as, well, students at the university, those little snowflakes who want their safe spaces. The issue was swept under the rug. This is a quote, like nothing happened. And so, I wouldn't have changed it. I've got another story coming up next from Disney and something that they pulled and apologized for. I'll get to that after the break. There are times that you do have to turn to someone who acts all offended and tell them they're wrong to be offended. And they're going to get really upset with you. Let them. Let them. And so, well, you have to change the name. Not going to. Nope. It stays American barbecue, and we're serving hot dogs and hamburgers. In fact, we're going to invite a bunch of guys from the military to show up for free food. And if they want to try to recruit some people to join the military, we're going to let them, because you can't get any more American than that. We're showing pride in our great country. And if that offends you, that's your mistake. It's okay to talk like that. One of the biggest mistakes that I think people make is every time somebody acts offended, everybody else immediately gets all upset and they have to do something about it because this person they're offended. Oh my God. Let them be offended. Let them yell. And you just keep doing what you're doing. Because there's nothing wrong with a barbecue. There's nothing wrong with an American barbecue, for God's sakes. There's not a damn thing wrong with being proud of your country. Not a thing. I am just sick of these people getting their way because they act offended.
This is a generic liner. Kind of boring, isn't it?
President Obama's Environmental Protection Agency is considering new regulations on ozone that could trigger some new crazy laws, such as bans on lawn mowing during certain times of the day, new parking space taxes, and new fees based on how many miles you drive your car. Visit stoptheepa.com to tell your legislator that President Obama's EPA should stay out of our wallets.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no. I only like Wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Whoa. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew? Now, that's real beer, Pilgrim. But give Swede a call, 307-686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
A bold republic.
WikiLeaks, the international non-profit journalistic organization dedicated to exposing secret documents, has released a recent exchange of letters between murderous ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and blandly sinister Attorney General Loretta Lynch. As a public service, the Daily Wire now presents the contents of those letters. Dear blandly sinister Attorney General Lynch, I hope you are well and had a fabulous 4th of July. I am writing to take responsibility for the recent terrorist attacks around the globe, including the Orlando mass murder of homosexuals, the bombings at Ataturk Airport in Istanbul, and the butchery of those in Bangladesh who could not recite verses from the Quran. These and other slaughters were carried out in the name of Allah for the purpose of establishing an eternal worldwide Islamic caliphate. Having a wonderful time. Wish you were here. Sincerely, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Dear Mr. al-Baghdadi, thank you for your letter. Regarding the murderous attacks on innocent civilians to which you refer, we here at the Justice Department have overseen thorough investigations into these events. We may never know the motives of those who perpetrated these acts, but we believe our most effective response to terror and hatred is compassion, unity, and love. Best to the family. Sincerely, blandly sinister Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Dear General Sinister, I was puzzled by your response to my recent letter in which you say you may never know the motives of those who perpetrated our latest acts of Quranic terror. Since I am the one who perpetrated them, and I've already told you I did so in the name of Allah as a means of establishing the eternal caliphate of Islam, I am not sure what part of my motive I have left unclear. Please explain. BTW, thank you for your compassion, unity, and love. I look forward to killing you and destroying your civilization. All the best, Abu. Dear Abu, thanks for your note. I am glad to hear you share our concern over gun violence. While cynical groups have tried to divert our attention and spread Islamophobia by focusing on a twisted version of Islam, we hope to push forward with measures to control the spread of guns in our country and thus reduce the number of these sorts of attacks in the future. I look forward to the days when America is truly a gun-free zone. Yours in peace, blandly sinister Loretta. Dear Blandly, if I may, I confess I am now completely baffled, especially by all this talk of guns. If I may express myself rather bluntly, I don't need no lousy guns. Bombs or even scimitars will do in a pinch. The point is the caliphate of Islam. Islam, Islam, Islam. Am I slurring my words? And what do you mean a twisted version of Islam? I have a PhD in Islamic studies, and I'm pretty sure our kill you until you surrender agenda is taking us in the right direction. All that said, I do share your hopes for a gun-free America. Yours in love, compassion, and unity, Abs. Dear Abs, I'm delighted to hear we are in agreement on the central issue here. I hope we can work together to rid America of guns. XOXO Lolo. Dear Lo, I too am very glad we have found a common ground on the issue of guns. Keep up the good work. See you all very soon. A. P.S. Love to Hillary. Glad that all worked out for you. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Definitely being chased right now by dudes, like welfare scammers. And I'm going to go down the only aisle that they won't go down. It's the work boot aisle.
You're dead, dude. You're dead. When we get you? You're dead. You're dead.
Yo, there's work boots all around me, dude.
Dude, he's got work boots.
They hate work boots.
Hey, Ben Gillette here. Being a libertarian means being skeptical of power. Skeptical there's one way to do things. Is there going to be one way of living that's going to make you, Justin Bieber, Pat Robertson, Marilyn Manson, Hillary Clinton, me, and your Aunt Olga all equally happy? It all comes down to this. Maybe I know the best way to live my life, but wow, I sure don't know the best way to live yours. So why not err on the side of more freedom, respect for what makes us different? If you think a little bit like I do and want to learn more, go to libertarianism.org. We've got podcasts and videos, original source material, and essays all about the idea of using a little more liberty. Libertarianism.org.
It's a Bold Republic radio show, last half hour-ish of the program, and open phones all the way. 844-700-BOLD is the phone number, or 2653. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more you find on my website, boldrepublic.com. I got to show you this. Let me call it up for those people that are watching by the video stream here. You see a picture. This is hysterical. Okay, I don't know what the event is. If I can find the video of this, I will. I'll explain it to the audio audience on radio stations and Spreaker in the app. So you have a bunch of people from the House of Representatives. Okay, you have the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. There's Mitch McConnell there. There's Nancy Pelosi and a few others. And they all have hammers. I don't know what this is supposed to. Well, politicians do a lot of things symbolically, but doing something symbolically is not doing it for real, which is why they tend not to know what they're talking about. But anyway, so what they're doing is there's like a piece of like a 2x4 there, and they're all supposed to be hammering a nail into the 2x4. Now, Paul Ryan is just standing there laughing hysterically. I'm going to guess that Paul Ryan already hammered his nail into the piece of wood. Everybody else, though, they don't know how to use a hammer. They keep missing the nail. They keep bending the nail. And Paul Ryan is just laughing hysterically, looking at all these members of Congress who are trying to do something that a normal blue-collar person would know how to do pretty much instinctively by this point in their life. And proving once again that these people that we're electing know how to do something symbolically for the cameras. Well, sometimes they can't do this, but they don't actually know how to do something. So these people who are trying, let's imagine for a moment, they're trying to do something to show symbolism for the construction industry, let's say. And how many of them have ever been in the construction industry? How many of them actually got a widow blister on your finger because they were doing this? Just hammering a nail. Okay, well, I don't know. I just have to throw my hands up in the air and say they ought to just quit. It was just, if I can find a video for you guys, I'll post it and play it on the air. Find out what they were really doing. Okay. Now, I was saying before, I was talking about a college that decided that it was politically incorrect and, in fact, offensive to some people to have an American barbecue day and to have some symbolism to get people to show up and register to vote and have some symbolism that actually looked militaristic. That's offensive to me. Well, you're wrong to be offended. You can get over it. No, we're not going to change our barbecue. That is the proper answer to that. You don't give in just because somebody said they were offended. What if they're wrong? Get a load of this. I told you about this yesterday. There's this Disney movie out there where they decided to do it's a Polynesian princess. And this Polynesian princess, there's some Polynesian god that helps her out. Now, the Polynesian god is a guy who, this is supposed to be a cultural appropriation by Disney. The Polynesian god looks like a big, these big fat Polynesian guys? He looks like that. That's offensive. All right. Now, you were able to buy, until just a little while ago, for Halloween, a costume that would make your kid look like this Polynesian god. Here's the story. Little boys will no longer be able to dress up like the banished demigod Maui, a character in Disney's latest film, Mona, thanks to all the people, some of them Polynesian, who complained about cultural appropriation. Screenshots of the offensive costume available. I can go ahead and get some screenshots for you people. I'll go ahead and do that. Disney is pulling it from the shelves. Well, again, just because some people act offended doesn't mean that they're correct about something. And so I would not have pulled these costumes. Okay, for those people who are watching on the video stream, here's what the costume looks like. Yeah, basically your kid can get dressed up in this costume that makes him look like a guy wearing a grass shirt with tattoos head to toe. And he just pulls the costume over top. But okay. So the team behind the Mona movie has taken care to be respectful, this is a quote, of the cultures of the Pacific Islands that inspired the film. The company said in the statement, we sincerely apologize for putting that costume on our website and in our store. And again, I wouldn't have apologized for it. I look at it and it's cultural appropriation. You realize that you and I, if we listen to those people who were upset and, you know, all that cultural appropriation garbage, as white people, we would not be allowed to eat Chinese food. Okay. Now, I am glad, I said this yesterday to you guys, that I am a free man. Now, just to be very clear about it, first off, I'm very thankful to our forefathers, the people who came before us, for making us free, for throwing tyranny into the sea and making us a free people. Now, we've hung on to that for over 200 years. I was born a free man. I've also decided that I'm going to remain free. And I'm not going to let other people take it from me. So now understand my words here. This is not a discussion. I am not debating this with anybody. To all those who are listening, I'm telling you, I'm a free man. Because I decided I want to be, therefore I am. So if I decided for Halloween, if I can't buy one of these costumes, and by the way, they make them for kids, so I doubt it's in my size, I can go ahead and make one. And if I decided to show up at a Halloween party dressed as this Polynesian demigod or god, then I'll go ahead and do it. And if somebody comes up to me all upset, well, you're culturally appropriating, you're not allowed to do that, I'm not apologizing for anything. See, I'm allowed to do that. I'm a free man. Now, if you want to get into cultural appropriation or appropriation of any kind, let's try this. Why are you guys defending transvestites? Isn't that gender appropriation? Some guy gets dressed up as a woman and walks around saying, I'm a woman. But when you look at him genetically, he's not. That's a guy in a dress. So if you're going to get upset with me for cultural appropriation, what about gender appropriation? Let's take it a step further. Remember that woman that got dressed up as a white woman? She bronzed herself black and frizzed out her hair and declared she was a black woman. Rachel Dolezal was her name. And then became president of the local chapter of the NAACP because she self-identifies as a black person. Well, why aren't you upset with that? Okay, well, regardless of your answer, I'm a free person. I get to do what I want.
Everything Glenn talks about is on his website. And that website is updated daily to keep you informed and scared. BoldRepublic.com.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responder discounts. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy American. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Wimpy, are you still drinking that homebrewed beer the Swedes from Sweet Specialties help you to make?
Why, yes, dear. I sure am, whiny. Why do you ask?
We never had any good wine around here. I would like something really good.
All I hear around here is whine, whine, whine. Why don't you get the makings from Swede at Swede Specialties? He can help you make really good wine right here at home. Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
Over the next 4 years, liberal policies of more spending, higher taxes, and a growing dependence on government will threaten America's future. Now more than ever, conservatives must take a stand.
This is the greatest country on earth. We are a leader for the world, and we need to continue to be.
The Heritage Foundation will take a stand, and we will lead the charge in offering principled solutions to America's biggest challenges, from spending and tax reform to reducing the size of government and maintaining a strong national defense. Call 1-855-502-2927 to join the Heritage Foundation today and receive a Heritage membership pack that includes a free pocket constitution, a subscription to our daily e-newsletter, The Morning Bell, and a window sticker that tells the nation you stand with Heritage. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
I consider the Heritage Foundation to be my voice in Washington.
Take a stand for conservative principles. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
Look, we need energy. Some say gotta rely on alternatives, wind, solar, or stick with oil, natural gas, traditional energy. Try this, all of the above. Now that's real energy security. I'm Maggie and I'm an energy voter.
We've got to build the economy for the future. Abundant American oil and natural gas can give us a real leg up. More affordable energy, better jobs, more money for our communities. That's going to work for generations to come. I'm Melanie, and I'm an energy voter.
It's a new day in America. Today, more people will go to work, return home to their families, and sleep more soundly than ever before. All because one man refuses to settle, putting people before politics. That man is Frank Underwood.
America, I'm only getting started. I'm Frank Underwood, and I approve this message.
Don't have time to catch the entire show live? Log in to boldrepublic.com to hear or watch the show anytime you like. On any device you have, phone, tablet, tower, laptop, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google, YouTube, you name it. Glenn's jacked in so many ways, he looks like Neo in The Matrix when he woke up in that pod. You know, the goop and wires hanging and they float. Well, anyway, you get the idea.
Not like that. Far from it.
Watch or listen to the show when you're able. Any way you like, boldrepublic.com.
It's the last 9.5 minutes of the program. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Hey, it's officially the first day of fall, from what I understand. Be that the case, this is the time to start gearing up for winter and start gearing up for fall fun too. Well, do the fall fun, then gear up for winter. Now, I'm talking outdoor fun here. So one of the best places to go, I don't care where you're listening to the program, Rocky Mountain Discount Sports. What do you like to do outside in the fall and in the wintertime? Okay, they got it all. And prices are good right about now. So Rocky Mountain Discount Sports is where you go. It's a piece of cake. They have 5 locations in Wyoming. Now, if you're not in Wyoming, it doesn't matter what you're doing outside. They got something from clothing to gear, whatever, hunting, fishing, whatever. Now, if you're not in Wyoming and you can't get to one of their 5 locations, RockyMountainDiscountSports.com. And you can just sort through page after page after page after page after page and find the stuff you need, and they'll send it to wherever you are. So Rocky Mountain Discount Sports. Okay. Headline, 41,000 people asked Congress to stop paying Obama while he campaigns for Hillary Clinton. Don't we have this problem with every single president? I don't know. My thought was, I thought this is the way it was supposed to be, that if a politician a president was going to take off around election year and campaign for whomever, that their party paid for it. So the Democrat Party would pay for the flight and everything else. Well, let's find out. More than 41,000 people asking Congress to stop paying President Barack Obama's salary while he campaigns for Democrat nominee. Oh, his salary. I see. Do it on your own time. We the people demand that Congress withhold the president's salary, pension, travel expenses for any amount of time spent in an activity on the campaign trail. Obama plans to devote 1 or 2 days each week in October to campaign for Hillary. And he's a lame duck president. So, okay, the petition notes that the president's salary is about $400,000 a year. Air Force One costs about $180,000 for every hour of $180,000 for every hour in the air. The president also has an expense account of $50,000. Hey, you really want to go ahead and stick it to him? Okay, not only does the president or the Democrat Party have to pay for all of that, but, and I guarantee you they're not paying for this, you charge them for their carbon footprint. Well, they want a carbon tax on the rest of us. Fine, Mr. President, every time you take off in Air Force One, and I've told you guys this before, it's Air Force One plus a matching airplane, just in case something happens to Air Force One. And then there's a big aircraft, much bigger than Air Force One, that carries all of the SUVs and limousine and all that kind of stuff for the Secret Service and the president. And then sometimes there's even another aircraft for the press. And that all travels together. All right, so you not only charge them for the time of all of those people that have to maintain and fly in the Secret Service and all that, you charge them for the fuel, whatever it costs to run that, but you also charge them for their carbon footprint, just like they want to charge you for your carbon footprint. There, take that. All right, now, well, make them live. The reason I don't think I'm off base here, make them live by their own standards. They're the one demanding that we live by these standards. Fine, you live by those standards. Okay, so yesterday I told you about Anthony Weiner. He was caught sexting, which is sexual texting, basically, with a 15-year-old girl, sending her pictures, asking her to send pictures to him. And I wanted to tell you exactly what he was sexting because we have screenshots of their conversation. It gets so graphic. I'm not only would I not read it to you on the air, but if you and I were sitting in a room in private and you said, come on, Glenn, what did he say? I don't think I'd have the nerve to tell it to you. It's just very graphic. And this is a 15-year-old girl. Here's a headline. Anthony T-Dog Weiner. Well, that's his handle online. Now attracting the attention of the New York Police Department Special Victims Unit. Well, it's about damn time. So Weiner could face the charges of endangering the welfare of a child, a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail, and 3 years probation, based on the graphic nature of the text and explicit topics discussed. The police would be able to build a strong case, sources say, around the messages obtained by dailymail.com without having to rely on the celebrity's accusers. So there's the accuser, but sources are saying that doesn't matter because, again, we have screenshots and all of that of the actual messages back and forth. And we can go ahead and source all of this and subpoena all of this. So if he was caught sexting with a minor, Uma Abedin was right and should have dumped him a long time ago. In this one instance, in this one case, I actually have some sympathy for Uma Abedin. On everything else, I hope she burns in hell. But in this one case, I actually have sympathy because she married this twit and had a kid with him. All right, last topic of the day. Oh, and by the way, since I had open phones, every day of the week I have open phones for you guys. Friday, it's the entire 3 hours of the program. So at any time you want to just stop the program and talk about what you want to talk about, that's all day Friday. So, all right. Tulsa officer charged with manslaughter of the shooting of a black man Well, and in this case, I kind of wondered if that was going to happen to her. This is the case where there's video of him with his hands up against the SUV. It looks like to me. And they shot him anyway. A female Tulsa police officer was charged with first-degree murder manslaughter Thursday in the fatal shooting of an unarmed black man. So you see in a case, I'm going to read a little bit more into it in just a moment, but you see in cases where, in most cases, if you have an honest police department, where a police officer just does the wrong thing for whatever reason, they're dealt with. All right. This is why I look at the Charlotte, North Carolina case, and I don't know. I'm holding my official opinion. But I kind of wonder if the police is saying, well, we have video of this from their body cams and the dash cam that show, in fact, the man in Charlotte was armed and was a threat to police officers. All right, let's go see the video then. In the case of Tulsa, the police are doing the right thing. They looked at the video and said, whoops, and we got a problem here, and they've charged her with manslaughter. Tulsa County District Attorney filed the charges against the officer after viewing the dash cam video and the helicopter video. The statement reviewed the 911 calls as well. Quote, I do not know why things happen in this world the way that they do. We need to pray for wisdom and guidance. Video from the shooting and its aftermath showed the man walking away from the officer with his hands in the air. Now, one of the problems would be, as we discussed earlier in the program, don't walk away from the officer. Do exactly what the officer is saying. The video does not offer a clear view of when Shelby, the police officer, fired the shot. The attorney said the man was not following police commands, and so she shot him. But there could have been, you could wonder, did the guy just throw his hands up and start walking away saying, nope, I'm not cooperating? Well, you could have tased him or something. Shot him in the leg, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I'm thinking there were other options, hence the manslaughter charges. But in this case, the police and the attorney for the state are doing the right thing, I believe. When you look at the video, it seemed pretty clear to me. I'm really going to be curious what happens now with the Charlotte, North Carolina video. Please, Charlotte Police Department, release that today. Friday at the latest, so we don't have a weekend. Can you imagine going into a weekend of mayhem and violence because they had a video that could have proven the officer was justified and they didn't release it? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Open phones, all 3 hours of the program, same time, same radio station. See you on the radio.